Hello friends, welcome. So this video is for the Binding of Isaac, but it's not Repentance. It's Flash Isaac, so 2011 Isaac. This is the Eternal edition of the game, version 1.666. And this is going to be a tier list of the items and trinkets in the game.
Which ones? All of them!
So, just to quickly explain what each of the tiers means, Run Winner and F tier are obviously self-explanatory. Run Winner is an item that'll win you the run almost entirely by itself, and F tier is an item that does nothing but detract value from your run. D tier is almost no value added. C tier is a little bit of value or rare utility. B tier is usually pretty good. A tier is great items that are almost always useful or very commonly useful, and S tier is for items that are really powerful and can easily become run winners if you have other good things to add to them. Bearing these tiers in mind, you should remember for the purposes of this video that no item in the game is completely 100% devoid of value at all times. Even something that lands in the F tier can have S tier applications if you can find the right things to combine with it. An item's placement in these tiers is an aggregation of how often it's going to be useful. An item that's a run winner you might not necessarily want to pick up. So just keep those things in mind as we go through this. So let's get started here. Okay, 1-up. 1-up and the Ankh, since they're similar, I'll do them at the same time. These two items I'm going to put in the D tier. They don't add anything to your run on their own, and so both of these items resurrect you. 1-up resurrects you as whatever character you're playing as already. The Ankh resurrects you as the blue baby, as Bluebee. If you're in a position where you're using these items, then your run's probably not strong enough to win anyway. So I don't place a lot of value on these items. So I'm happy to put them in the D tier. Between the two of them, I would rather have the Ankh than the 1-up, because if you're most likely going to die late in game after you've got the Polaroid, which means that as the blue baby you can take advantage of the Polaroid's shielding, but that's still not enough to elevate it above the D tier for me. $3 bill. So $3 bill has a list of, I think, 11 different items, and it will give you an effect of one of those items every time you walk into a room. Overall, this is not a particularly good item. It's also a rare item. It's a special item that only appears in the item room pool. So you're not likely to see this item very often, and even when you do get it, it's not particularly good. But it's better than it's at least C tier. I'm happy to put it there. The effects that it has can combine well with some other items, but it's nothing to shout about. 9 volt, 15 cents in the shop, comes with a charge for your spacebar item, and always and sets your spacebar's charge permanently to 1/3 fully charged. Some spacebar items it's useless for, like the blue candle, or items that charge after a single room of combat, or even 2 rooms of combat, like Book of Shadows doesn't get anything from this item, but it's a great economical item from the shop, because it automatically charges your spacebar item when you pick it up. I'm happy to put this one in the A tier. It's a great spacebar augmenter. Able, one of the worst items in the game. Gives you a familiar that mirrors your movement around the room and shoots in the opposite direction from you. It technically does, like, it technically does give you something. It's just so underwhelming and mostly useless, and has like next to no synergies as well, that I'm like more than happy to put this in the D tier. Ace of Spades. When you clear a room of combat, or this is a trinket, not an item. Again, we're doing the trinkets as well. When you clear a room of combat, the Ace of Spades gives you a 10% chance of getting a card drop, and it has a 2/3 chance of you getting a card drop from a golden or brown chest. This is better than the deck of cards because it's passive, and the deck of cards just gives you a random card once every 6 rooms. It's nothing to sneeze at, but it's not amazing, so I'm happy to put the Ace of Spades in the B tier. Dollar Bill. So the dollar bill is a strange item, because in theory, or well, in a vacuum, not in theory, but in a vacuum, it's a really good item because it just gives you 99 cents, and that can be super valuable if you have lots of keys so you can go to the shop, or you have like a lucky foot so you can use the machines a lot, or you have money equals power. The problem with this item is that it just never, like, you never see it because it only comes from the slot machine. It's on, and like the slot machine is the worst machine in the game, so you're never going to use it, or almost never. This item, I would say, is on par with Sacred Heart for how rare it is. Maybe a little bit more common than the Sacred Heart, but not by much. It's more common for you to get 99 cents from 2 of Diamond's playing cards than from this item. So this one, because of its rarity, and it's not a one-of-a-kind item. We have the quarter coming up here as well. I'm going to put the dollar bill in the C tier as well. Lump of coal. So lump of coal is an item that is worthy of S tier in a vacuum. I'm probably going to get in a little bit of trouble for this one. It's worthy of the S tier in a vacuum, but I'm not going to put it in the S tier. I'm going to put it in the A tier just because of the fact that it's not always, but frequently annoying for me to see this item because of where it shows up. When you get the lump of coal, you lose your normal deal with the devil. If you didn't particularly care about that, that's totally fine. But if you're like me and you like to become guppy a lot, getting this item can be really irritating, because if you were looking for something specific, didn't even have to be a guppy item. If you were looking for something specific and you from the devil and you get this, that can be irritating. It's a good item, so as long as you're shooting something that benefits from a boost to your tier damage, like Ipecac, regular tiers, technology, brimstone, it's good, but it is commonly annoying to see, so I'm not gonna put it in the S tier, even though it kind of deserves to be there. So lump of coal is going into the A tier. Missing page, another trinket. It sucks. There's almost no value to this item at all. Has a 1 in 20 chance of giving you the effect of the Necronomicon when you take damage. So you have to take damage in order to use it, and then you have to take, on average, 20 damage 20 times over before it'll even activate to begin with. This is a D tier trinket for sure. It's almost the same as not having a trinket at all. Better than the missing page, but still in the D tier, is the Anarchist Cookbook. 4 rooms of charging for 4 rooms of charging for a spacebar item that spawns 6 bombs randomly around the room when you use it. Not great. It does have some value if you don't have any bombs and you try to use it to blow up a tinted rock or the wall to the secret room. That's fine, but the vast majority of the time this item is just completely skippable. So this is more than deserving of the D tier. Thankfully, it's a book, so if you pick it up, you get, you know, an extra 25% chance to get libraries for the rest of the game. That's nice, but this item is just not particularly good. Black Pony. So I'm not putting this in the F tier. I'm just putting it there like as a placeholder. Let's scroll down here and find the White Pony. Since these are almost identical, we'll talk about them at the same time. So the Black Pony is in the A tier and the White Pony is in the C tier. How is that? If they're both almost exactly the same, then how are they in different tiers? The Black Pony is only obtained by fighting the Headless Horseman boss. The White Pony is only obtained by fighting the boss Conquest. The reason that this puts Black Pony higher than White Pony is because the Headless Horseman can show up anywhere that doesn't have a static boss encounter. So Depths 2, where you fight Mom, Womb 2, the Cathedral, the Chest, and Shoal. Headless Horseman can't show up in any of these places, but every other floor in the game, this item can be your drop, because you could fight Headless Horseman. This item could show up at the start of the game, and flying being primarily a utility effect is better the earlier in the game that you get it. So you can get this item at the first floor of the game if you fight if the Headless Horseman is your first boss. The Conquest boss that drops the White Pony only appears in the first floor of the Womb. So you're going to be really late into the game when you get this item. So it's not going to be able to provide you with as much value as the Black Pony. So it's, in a vacuum, it's equally good, but the circumstances that where you get it lead to this item, lead to the White Pony not being quite as good as the Black Pony. So White Pony C tier, Black Pony A tier. Now, the quarter. The quarter I was originally going to put in the A tier, but now I'm going to say B, because it's not as, in terms of its raw effect, it's not as strong as the dollar bill, but it's much more common. It shows up in the item room, and it shows up as a deal with the devil. If you get it as a deal with the devil, it only costs 1 heart, which is fine, unless you roll it onto a spot that has a cost of 2 hearts. But it's a good item. Again, much more common than a dollar bill. I don't think it's worthy of the A tier overall, although if you mix it with something like Money Equals Power, it can be great. If it gets you the blue candle in the shop, obviously it's nice to pick it up. So it's worthy of the B tier. Unfortunately not A tier like I was originally going to put it. So, quarter B tier. Next up, Best Friend. Best Friend is a spacebar item. 3 rooms of charging, I want to say, to drop a decoy on the ground that draws enemy aggro and bullets for a few seconds and then blows up. I think it does more damage than a normal bomb does, but maybe not as much as a Mr. Mega Bomb. It's okay. It's nice for its defensive utility, obviously. And you can use it in the same way that you would use Mr. Boom, although it doesn't charge as fast. It can just be a regular bomb for you if you don't have any bombs. I think it's better than the Anarchist Cookbook overall, because it just because it's much more precise. The Anarchist Cookbook is chaos, obviously. So this one can go in the C tier. A lot of spacebar items are going to end up in the C tier, specifically because of the D6. Eve's Birdfoot. Another trinket. Arguably better than the dead bird. I tell you what, let's scroll down and find the dead bird and do both of these at the same time. Here it is. So Eve's Birdfoot is D tier, and the dead bird is also D tier. Eve's Birdfoot is arguably better than the dead bird because the dead bird requires you to take damage to use it, and the bird foot trinket does not, but it's a 1 in 20 chance to activate, just like the missing page. It's just activated by killing an enemy instead of instead of taking damage. So most of the time it's not even going to do anything for you to begin with. And the familiar that these two things give you, the bird is not great. The damage isn't wonderful, and it moves really slowly around the room, so you can't rely on it as a passive source of damage, which makes it really annoying sometimes. So these are two D tier elements of this game. Next up, the blood bag. So the blood bag it does 3 things. It's an HP upgrade, it heals you for 4 red hearts, and it boosts your speed. In a vacuum, you would think that that's better than a typical HP upgrade. The problem is where this item comes from. You only get this from the blood bank, the blood donation machine. And this thing has a nasty habit of popping out of that machine at some of the most inopportune times that you could possibly imagine. And if it's an inopportune time for it to come out, there's a good chance you don't want the health that this thing gives you anyway. I would say overall it's about as good as the average HP upgrade, which are going to be put in the B tier. So this thing can go into the B tier as well. Blood of the Martyr. Blood of the Martyr is a relatively it's not a horribly uncommon item. It's a special item, so you don't see it that much, but it shows up in the item room and it shows up in the angel room. It's +1 damage, which is really good, and there's a second effect that's kind of rare to be able to activate, which is it gives you a 1.5x damage multiplier if the effect of the Book of Belial or the Devil Tarot card are active in the room that you're in. In Rebirth, this 1.5x multiplier is always active as long as you're holding the Book of Belial, but it doesn't work like that in this game. It only works for that one room, but it's still a good item. So the Blood of the Martyr can go in the A tier. I like that. Blood Rites, trash item. I think it only shows up in the item room. Spacebar item that you can use repeatedly. It takes away your health, prioritizing red health first, and acts like a Necronomicon or a death card. It sucks. There's like almost no value associated with this item at all. So D tier. Bloody Lust. So this is an item. This is one of my favorite items in the game, and this is what causes me to enjoy playing as Samson. If I decide to play as him, I really like items that snowball. I wish that there were more items like this in the game. Like I wish that there would be one for like your range and your fire rate as well, but that doesn't exist. So kind of stuck with this as it is. Every time you kill an enemy, it gives you 0.23 damage for the rest of the room, and you can stack up to 10 procs of this item. So a total of 2.3 damage up for the whole room. It's really good against bosses that spawn lots of fodder enemies like Gertie. It's good against Blue Baby because he spawns lots of flies for you to kill. I wouldn't say it's good enough to elevate it above A tier, because you might get a room that only has one enemy, at which point it's not doing anything for you. So it's not. It can be S tier. Like if you're fighting a boss and you have the full damage stack, it's S tier. But it's overall, I would say A tier. I'm happy to put it in the A tier. Bloody Penny. So Bloody Penny is a trinket. I was going to put this in the C tier. Now I'm going to put it in the B tier. So when you pick up a penny, this trinket has a 50% chance of dropping a half of a red heart for you to pick up. I don't really respect red health all that much in this game. I really like to leverage the effects of things like the Polaroid and Whore of Babylon. So items and trinkets that do things like this, not typically a fan of those. It is a good trinket overall because it's involved in some of the most broken synergies in the game, like the D20 and the IV bag. But I just don't like it very much. It is worthy of at least the B tier though. Next up, Blue Baby Soul. This is another D tier trinket. So this trinket gives you a familiar, a shooting familiar that flies around the room in a similar pattern to the Peeper item, the weird eyeball that pops out and flies around the room doing contact damage. This flies around the room in the same way, but it shoots spectral homing tiers with some decent range, and it shoots in whatever direction you're firing. It's bad. The reason it's bad is because it drags all of your other familiars except for the cube of meat with you, except for your orbitals in general. I don't know if it affects Able, but it doesn't really matter because you shouldn't really be using that item anyway. But Blue Baby Soul takes all of your other familiars like Brother Bobby, Sister Maggie, Little Steve. It takes that stuff with it, so it's just bad. So that's D tier for sure. Bobby Bomb. Bobby Bomb gives you 5 bombs and gives your bombs a homing effect. This is like an item that I pretty much always pick up whenever I see it because 5 bombs is nice, and if you have a ton of bombs, they benefit from your homing that you get from this. It's not a fantastic bomb effect. It's not something that I'm always like super excited to see, but it is a decent item. Most of the time, I'd rather have more bombs than like 5 bombs plus an effect. Aside from like Mr. Mega. Mr. Mega, I consider that a special case. So Bobby Bomb can go in the B tier. Bombs are always useful for blowing up the secret room wall or, you know, getting tinted rocks. They're usable in combat, of course, so that's fine. I'm happy to put this in the B tier. On the flip side, going into the C tier is Bob's Curse. Plus 5 bombs, and it gives your bombs poison damage. Poison, spoiler alert, is not good in this game. None of the items in this game or trinkets that give you poison effects, like Pinky Eye or Common Cold or Ipecac, the poison is, and the virus as well, the poison is almost never actually worth using as a significant source of damage. It's good damage to weak enemies, but blowing an enemy up with a bomb that does poison damage is like they're gonna die from the explosion, not from the poison. So it's mostly just irrelevant. But the 5 bombs are 5 bombs, so I'm putting it in the C tier just for the bombs. Not Bob's Curse, Bob's Rotten Head. Spacebar item. 3 rooms to charge. It gives you a bomb that you can throw directionally, like you throw the flame from the blue candle, and it'll go all the way across the room until it hits a hard object like a rock, a wall, or an enemy, and it explodes on contact. It's okay. I don't like items like Mr. Boom, Best Friend, and Bob's Rotten Head that like they're bomb items that you have to use a couple of rooms to charge them. I don't appreciate that, so I'm happy to put this one in the C tier. I would rather have this than any of this garbage in the D tier. So I was originally gonna put this in D, but I think it's significantly better than most of this crap. Bomb bag. Tell you what. So we've got 5 items like this. So we're gonna put them all up here and do them all together. let's see. Next we have, what are the other dropping familiars? So we have Bomb Bag, Bum Friend, then we have a Sack of Pennies, the Relic, and what's the last one? Little Chad. Where are you? There we go. Okay. Stop that. Okay. So these are our 5 dropping familiars. Bomb Bag and Sack of Pennies are in C tier. Bomb Bag gives you a bomb drop, which can be a regular bomb, it can be +1/+1 free, it can be a troll bomb, it can be a super troll bomb, it can be any of those. It gives you a bomb drop every 3 rooms. Sack of Pennies gives you a coin that can be a penny, nickel, or dime once every 2 rooms. And the Relic, which is both of these are going into the C tier. Relic is going into the S tier, and Little Chad is going into the D tier. Little Chad gives you half of a red heart every 3 rooms of combat, and the Relic gives you a spirit heart every 5 rooms of combat. So hopefully the differences between these items are all self-explanatory for you and why I put them where I put them. Bomb Bag and Sack of Pennies are nice to have, but the problem with dropping familiars of any kind is that if you have more than one of them, they don't drop whatever their assigned pickup is as frequently. So if you have the Relic, normally it's 5 rooms of combat, like I said, for a Spirit Heart. If you pick up another dropping familiar, Bomb Bag, Sack of Pennies, or Little Chad, that combat room threshold bumps from 5 to 7. So it's not a good idea to have more than one of these at a time. If that didn't happen, I would be happy to put Bomb Bag and Sack of Pennies in B tier, but it excuse me, but that's just how it works. So I'm putting them in C tier. Again, Little Chad's in D tier because for a couple of reasons actually. One, again, I don't really respect red hearts that much, and number 2, it's really annoying to run into this item because one of the most common places to get it is from a boss fight, and because it's a guaranteed drop from that fight, you can't re-roll it. It's like the cube of meat, but worse. It drops from the Chad boss fight. You can't re-roll it if you get it, so you have to either pick it up or leave it, and that makes it garbage. I hate items that are like that, for the most part. Now, Bum Friend I'm also going to put in the C tier. So Bum Friend is not like the other dropping familiars. He picks up money that is on the ground and has a chance, not a guarantee, but a chance of turning that money into drops for you. So he can drop everything except for more money and chests. So he can drop a card, a pill, I think he can drop a trinket as well, but I'm not 100% sure about that. He can drop cards, pills, hearts, bombs, and keys, and maybe trinkets too. Now, this is not an item that you're going to use very often, because he's nice to have if you have a ton of money and there's a lot of money on the ground and nothing for you to use your money on because you have, like, no bombs and no keys. He can pick up that money and turn it into useful stuff for you. So, if you have a ton of money and you don't need the money that he's eating, then you can make good use of that. If you don't have a lot of money, you are not advised to pick this up because there's a good chance that he's just going to eat resources that you're going to need for other things like machines and machines in the shop and whatnot. So overall, C tier, not an item that I use all that much, but I think I would rather have Bum Friend than just about anything else in the D tier. So Bum Friend, C tier. Book of Revelations. So this is probably an item that's going to get me in a little bit of trouble. I think this is like a fan favorite item, maybe. I'm going to actually put this one in the B tier. So it's a spacebar item. It's relatively common. You can get it from can you get it from a deal with the devil? I can't even remember. I can't even remember if you can get it from there, but you can get it from a library, and most commonly you get it from the shop. So it's 6 rooms for a charge, and when you use it, it gives you a spirit heart, which is nice. And it also has another hidden benefit, which is that if you're holding it when you beat the boss for your floor, you have a 35% increased chance to get a deal with the devil. So if you care about that, nice time to make sure that you're holding it when you beat the boss. The problem that I have with this item is that when you use it, it will guarantee, asterisk, if it's possible for you to have a Horseman of the Apocalypse on whatever floor you use it, it guarantees you a fight with that Horseman. So first 2 floors, Famine, second 2 floors, Pestilence, third 2 floors is War, or just the Depths 1, and then the Womb 1 is Death. You're guaranteed to get one of those bosses if you use this item, and it's possible for you to get one of those bosses, and they're guaranteed to drop cubes of meat, which you might not be able to make use of. If you've already got 2 of them, you shouldn't pick up any more, and you can't re-roll them. So you might just end up losing your spacebar item, or not your spacebar item, your boss item, if you use this item. It does have a lot to recommend it, but that's a big no-no for me. I don't like items that can't be re-rolled, and this one guarantees you a boss drop of an item that can't be re-rolled. So that's not something that I appreciate at all. So, but it is a decent item because it gives you spirit hearts. I love spirit hearts, so I'm putting it in the B tier for that. Also, it's found in the library, so picking it up gives you a more chance to get libraries later on in the game. Also going into the B tier is Book of Shadows. Spacebar item takes 2 rooms to charge, not 6, and it gives you a shield for 10 seconds. It has a lot of abuses, like the virus, the blood bag if you have them both in the same room, blood banks, and the demon beggar. Good item, at least on its own, but it needs other things to make it work. Its most obvious use is to just protect you in combat, which is fine, and it does that, but it's not good enough, at least in my opinion, to rise above the B tier. I rarely end up using it. Most of the time, because it shows up in the library, I mostly just end up re-rolling it to try to get double item rooms. But I'm happy to put it in the B tier. It's okay. Boom! Plus 10 bombs. 10 bombs are 10 bombs, and bombs are really valuable. So I'm actually happy to put this in the A tier. I think depending on circumstance, I'd rather have this than like most of this other stuff down here. This one I'm a little less certain about this. I'm happy to put it in either A or B tier. It's not it's an item that I rarely end up re-rolling or skip, and I almost never skip over it. So that puts it pretty high. Any item that is good enough for me to say that about it, it's going to be either like B or higher. So it's a nice item. Also in the A tier, the box, the cardboard box. So this is a boss drop. Gives you one of every type of pickup in the game. So it gives you a random coin, a random heart, bomb, key, trinket, pill, and card. It gives you one of each of those. That can be really, really good, and almost never will this item be completely worthless to you. It's one of the boss pool is pretty shallow, and a lot of the items in that pool are kind of crap anyway. So it's not common that you pick this up and it gives you absolutely nothing of value. So I'm happy to put this in the A tier. Next up, we have a category of items, which is boss health drops. Again, not going into the into the F tier, just putting it there as a placeholder. So let me find all of these. So that's meat. That's technically a separate thing, or at least to me it is. Let's see. So these items, there's 5 of them total. These items are boss drops, and all they do is, here's another one. And all they do, there it is. There's the 5th one. All they do is give you +1 HP. That is a B tier effect. Sometimes you might not want these items. Sometimes you do. So for items like that, I'm fine with those going into the B tier. Most of the HP upgrades in the game are going to go into the B tier anyway. So, Brimstone. This is an S tier item. Another fan favorite. Not powerful enough, in my opinion, to be in the run winner tier. It has a lot to recommend it. Infinite range, big damage boost, spectral piercing, area of effect, technically. This item has a lot going for it, and if you can find something else to boost your damage, any like significant amount, it's like that's basically a run winner right there. But on its own, not quite good enough to be better than S tier. Obviously, with something like Polyphemus or Sacred Heart or whatever, it's it's like game over. Might as well just GG at that point. But I'm happy with it in the S tier. It's a decent item. Next up, Brother Bobby. So let me find these as well. We've got Brother Bobby, Harlequin Baby, Demon Baby. Where is Isaac's head? There it is. Ghost Baby, Little Steve. I already talked about the other one. What was it? Blue Baby Soul. Rainbow Baby. Might be another one that I'm missing here. These are just the basic shooting familiars. Sister Maggie, there we go. And Robo Baby as well. Why not? So these are, let me just make sure I didn't get any, I don't have any stragglers. So these items are just shooting familiars, and they're mostly not great, because a lot of them are special items, but they are, if you have more than one of them, they're pretty good. So Demon Baby, I'll put in the C tier. It has a high fire rate. Harlequin Baby is B tier. It does more damage than most of the other familiars, and it shoots 2 shots at the same time. Brother Bobby, a basic familiar, that goes in the C tier as well. Sister Maggie, better than Brother Bobby, but still in the C tier. Little Steve, homing tiers with long range, same damage as Brother Bobby, still in the C tier. Ghost Baby, Spectral Tears, C tier. Rainbow Baby, B tier, can shoot a little Gish tier that slows enemies down. Isaac's head, a trinket, so not an item at all, fires piercing tears, goes in the C tier. And Robo Baby, also in the C tier, piercing laser. The more of these you have, the better they are. Where's little Gish at, actually? There it is. There we go. So Little Gish also goes in the B tier with Rainbow Baby. Has a slowing effect like Mom's Contacts freezes, but has a slowing effect like the Game Squid or what's it called? Or Spider Bite. So it's good. Rainbow Baby shoots random tiers, so it can shoot just about anything. It's just kind of, like I said, random as to which one you get. Decent item. Again, having the more of these you have, the better they are. they shoot at about like half the rate. Aside from Demon Baby, he's different because he's proximity and low range and high fire rate. But they shoot at about the same, or at about half the rate of your normal tiers. So the more of them you have, you're if you have more than one of these, especially on lower floors, you're gonna start cleaving through enemies, just like left and right. Not great on their own, but having more than one obviously is nice. Now, Bucket of Lard. This is another HP upgrade. 2 red heart containers. One of them is empty, the other one is half full, and it drops your speed. Another situational item. I'm happy to put this one in the B tier as well. If you're playing as Cain, this item is basically perfect. If you're playing as Eve, this item is basically perfect. It can be good. It can be something you completely pass up if you don't need the HP and you don't have the speed, like if you're playing as Maggie. So, Lard B tier. Burnt Penny. When you pick up a penny, it has a 50% chance of dropping a bomb for you. Same thing with a Bloody Penny, but for bombs. I like this trinket a lot. I would generally consider it better than the Bloody Penny because I value bombs more than red hearts, but still B tier, whether it's better than Bloody Penny or not. I like these. I like this in the matchstick. Tell you what, where's the matchstick at? Here it is. Yeah, I'll put matchstick in the B tier as well. It's nice to go to a to go to the end of the game and then you see you've stacked up like 25, 30, 40 bombs. That's nice. I always like having excess resources, and these 2 trinkets are really good for that. Cain's Eye. It sucks. It's trash. It's a trinket, not an item. There's no situation where like it's actively bad for you. It's just completely useless the vast majority of the time. So Cain's Eye has a 75, or sorry, no, not a 75, Jesus Christ, a 25% chance to activate if you are holding it when you go down to a new floor, and its effect, if it activates, is to give you the compass for the floor. So 75% of the time it's going to do nothing, and then the other 25% of the time can be completely nullified by just having the compass, which is one of the most common items in the game anyway. So this trinket just sucks. Again, never bad for you to have unless you have a better trinket, but it's so much crap. Cancer. Probably my favorite trinket in the game overall. I'm going to put this in the S tier. Cancer boosts your fire rate, but it doesn't boost your fire rate in the same way that items do. Items boost your tier stat, and the tier stat is a variable that's plugged into the equation to determine how many frames the game thinks in frames per second, and there's 30 frames per second in this game. The equation is used to determine how many frames there will be between your shots. So the Cancer trinket modifies the result of that equation, the delay variable, directly. So it bypasses the tier stat, which is capped at 2. It can go higher than that, but you don't get any benefit for it going higher than that. Cancer bypasses that to boost your tier stat more than it can be with items and pills alone. So Cancer is at its best when you already have the maximum fire rate. It's not always possible for you to get that, which is fine. Cancer is basically useless if you have Polyphemus, or if you're not shooting tiers. If you have Epic Fetus or Dr. Fetus, not a useful trinket at all. But it's a very good trinket, and I think it's worthy of the S tier. Even if you have a low fire rate, it's still doing something for you. It's just not especially good in that particular case. So Cancer qualifies for the S tier in my opinion. Cat of Nine Tails. another D tier item. One of the most common items in the game, really annoying to get the vast majority of the time, shows up in the boss pool, and all it does is give you a shot speed upgrade. That's it. It's okay. It's okay to pick up if you've already got low shot speed, because you picked up something like Spirit of the Night, something that drops your shot speed, like Spirit of the Night, the Wafer, Mom's Contacts, Sacred Heart. If you've picked up something like that, this is fine, but not a good item the vast majority of the time. So Cat o' Nine Tails D tier. Bye bye. Celtic Cross. Celtic Cross is okay. There's a chance when you take damage that this item will trigger a shield for you that stays up for, I think, like 6.5 seconds, maybe 7 seconds. It's fine. It's just not reliable. This is another item that can be abused, like the Book of Shadows can. If you have the virus, you can use it for some cheeky contact damage. You can use it for IV bags and devil beggars and blood banks and stuff like that. It has the same like potential for abuse that the Book of Shadows does, but the Book of Shadows is more consistent, and I think personally that makes this item better than not as good as Book of Shadows overall. So Celtic Cross is going into the C tier. Also, if you're using the effect of the Polaroid, it completely overrides this item and makes it useless. So if you already have the Polaroid and you're taking advantage of it, don't bother picking this item up. It's pointless. Charm of the Vampire, one of the worst passive items in the game. Not chance based, works like a clock. Every 13th enemy that you kill heals you automatically. Doesn't drop a half a heart for you. Heals you automatically for 1/2 of a red heart. Most of the time, this item is either going to hurt you if you're trying to take advantage of the Polaroid or Whore of Babylon, and if you don't have any red hearts, which frequently you will have no red hearts, it's doing nothing for you. It does have some utility in a rare combination with IV Bag, Virus, and Polaroid, but overall, just a bad item. This is a D tier item. Chemical Peel. Gives +2 damage to the tears coming out of the left side of your character's face if you're not playing as Kane. If you are playing as Kane, you have a 50% chance every time you fire a tear to get +2 damage. Statistically, I would say it's about the same as like Blood of the Martyr and the other +1 damage boosters. I'm going to put it in the A tier, although it's not as good because it's not as consistent. Child's Heart, another trinket. Child's Heart increases the frequency of what are called normal heart drops. A normal heart drop is just a heart drop that can be any heart, half red, full red, spirit heart, or eternal heart. This makes more of those happen. Most of the time they're going to be red hearts. Again, I don't really respect red hearts that much. I'm going to say that more than once over the course of this video. I've already said it multiple times. I'm going to put this one in the C tier. If you have a relatively rare combination with that trinket, Mom's Pearl, which increases the frequency of spirit heart drops, plus the Miter, which does the same thing. This is like an S tier / run winning combination to have, but again, that's a rare combination. So most of the time, it's not really going to be all that useful for you. Now, because this drops the hearts makes the hearts drop on the floor or on the ground, it's better than it's better than like Charm of the Vampire or Little Chad, especially because it's not a dropping familiar. So I'm putting Child's Heart in the C tier. It has its uses, but most of the time I'm just not generally a fan. Now, Chocolate Milk. I used to like this item. I don't like it anymore. I want to like this item. I'm just going to put it in the C tier and leave it at that. That item disappoints me. Counterfeit penny, another trinket, also in the C tier. 50% chance when you pick up a coin of that coin's value increasing by 1. So you pick up a penny, 50 chance of getting 2 cents instead of just 1. You pick up a dime, 50 chance of getting 6 cents instead of 5. You pick up a dime, 50 chance of getting 11 cents instead of 10. Nickel, 50 chance of 6 instead of 5. So not a particularly profound effect. There's no real reason for you not to pick it up if you find one, but it's just kind of weak. Overall, most of the time it's not going to do too much for you. I would say it's also the rarest trinket in the game because you can only get it one way, which is by destroying golden poop. Golden poop's not that common in the first place, and if you do find some golden poop, when you shoot it, when you destroy it, the chance that it gives you a counterfeit penny is 1 in 3. So it's the rarest trinket in the game. I'm happy to put this in the C tier. It's not, again, it's a pure bonus, no real reason for you not to use it, but it's just kind of weak overall. Crack the Sky, the Feather, Heaven's Light. This is a crap item. 4 rooms of charging. When you use it, it spawns 6 beams of light onto random tiles around the room. If an enemy walks into one of the beams of light, it does a lot of damage, but that's a big if. 4 rooms of charging for an item that's not guaranteed to do much of anything for you at all, that's annoying. It's also a relatively common item because it shows up in the item room and in the secret room. Do not like this item at all. You can stay in D tier. Now, Crystal Ball. A spacebar item that only shows up from fortune teller machines, and it's frequently, not always, but frequently annoying when that does happen because usually you're trying to farm the fortune teller machines with lots of money and the lucky foot for spirit hearts and good trinkets and tarot cards, but you know, it's not always going to work out for you just by definition because this is in many ways a chance-based game. So when this item does pop up, it can frequently be irritating, but it's an okay item. 6 rooms of charging. When you use it, it gives you full mapping for the floor, and when it gives you the map, the mapping effect, it also purges Curse of Darkness if that curse is active, and it gives you a drop, which is either going to be a spirit heart or a card. Most of the time, it's going to be a spirit heart, which is nice, and it doesn't guarantee you a fight with a Horseman of the Apocalypse either. So it's a nice item to have. So I'll put this right here next to Book of Revelations. I think I'd rather have that than Book of Shadows. So Crystal Ball B tier. Cube of Meat, an orbital that changes in properties depending on how many of them you pick up. The best version of this is 2 cubes of meat because it's still an orbital, but it also shoots in a manner that's better than your other shooting familiars because it's stuck to you, whereas the shooting familiars just lag behind you. It does more damage than most shooting familiars as well. So this is overall it's a B tier item. It's relatively common. It's annoying that you can't re-roll it when you do get it, but whatever. You're just kind of, that's just how it rolls. So Cube of Meat, B tier. Next up, Cupid's Arrow. I was gonna put this in S tier originally, but I don't think it's good enough on its own for S tier. Still a very good item. This is going into the A tier. Gives you piercing shots, and that's basically it. One of the few damage boosters in the game that doesn't actually boost your damage stat. So of course, if you have enemies running at you in a conga line, this is going to pierce through them and damage more than one of them. So It's possible for you to clear an entire room of enemies, like the butt lickers, the human centipede nonsense that I hate. It's possible to clear rooms full of enemies like that. It's obviously better with high range. You know, the mom's beauty items, because it can go farther. Good item. Mixes well with spectral tears to hit enemies all the way across the room, even if there's obstacles in the way. Very, very good item. Again, not S tier like I was originally going to put it, but it's a nice pickup. It's also rare because it's a special item in the item room, so you're not going to see it that much. But when you do see it, it's nice to get, assuming you don't already have piercing shots. Cursed Skull, one of the worst things in this game, item or trinket. This is going into the F tier. So the Cursed Skull, if you take damage and you don't die, and you have 1/2 of a red heart left or less, it teleports you out of the room. It sucks. There is a very rare synergy that I'm not going to explain that can like give this run winning properties, but it's just so unbelievably bad. It's horrible. It makes Polaroid worthless. It does almost nothing for you until you're about to die anyway. It's trash. So this is definitely deserving of the F tier. Curved Horn, not S tier alongside Cancer, but A tier alongside the rest of this stuff. Very, very good trinket. Just adds a straight +2 to your damage. Always nice to have. And that's the only thing to say about it. As long as you're shooting something that is affected by damage, as long as you're not shooting Dr. Fetus or Epic Fetus, you're gonna benefit from this, at least in some small way. D20 can potentially break the game. That's rare though. Most of the time you don't have enough consumables on the ground to make decent use of this item, and it takes 6 rooms to charge anyway, so unless you're gonna abuse like the Nun's Habit scapular combination, this is just not an item that you're gonna get much use out of most of the time. So I'm happy to put this in the C tier. I really don't like this item all that much. Daddy Longlegs, special item in the item room, gives you a follower that occasionally like automatically stomps down on enemies, like the High Priestess Tarot card, something like that, or Monstro's Tooth. It's okay. I'm gonna put this one in B tier. The main reason I'm putting it in B tier is because there are some situations where you don't necessarily want to kill all of the enemies in the room. If you're abusing the effect of something like the battery, you don't want combat to end. If you're abusing the effect of the portable slots, trying to scam for another boss item, you don't want to have this because it's going to kill your black fly. Not always a good effect to have. So I'm okay with putting, but having the extra damage is very nice. So I'm gonna put it in the B tier. I'm fine with that. Dad's Key, common secret room item, opens up doors that don't require normally require keys to be opened, but can be locked under certain conditions. Can open doors during combat. It can open a locked door to a challenge room or a boss challenge room. So it has its uses, but the vast majority of the time, it's just it's just crap. This is a mostly useless item. I could probably put this in the A tier if it worked like Bobby Bomb or the remote detonator, where it gave you 5 keys when you picked it up. But it's just garbage the vast majority of the time. Dad's Key D tier. Dead cat. I tell you what, let's talk about Guppy now, since we pulled this up. Paw, tail, and hairball. Okay. So, there are 5 items in the game that if you pick up 3 of these items, will turn you into Guppy, this cat right here. So we'll talk about Guppy first and then talk about the items. So the Guppy transformation allows you to fly, and when a projectile that you fire, be it a laser or a tear or an ipecac grenade, when it impacts an enemy, it has to make direct contact with them. You spawn a blue kamikaze fly that does contact damage to enemies and it'll actively seek them out in the room, and it deals twice your tier's damage when you, or when it hits an enemy, and then it'll destroy itself. So, tier plus kamikaze fly equals a threefold increase to your DPS. So becoming Guppy gives you effectively a 3x multiplier on your damage output. That is excellent. Plus the ability to fly puts the Guppy transformation into the run winning tier. But in order to become Guppy, you have to pick up at least 3 of these 5 items down here. So let's talk about these. The Dead Cat gives you 9 lives and sets... so it works the same way as the Ankh and the 1-up. It'll revive you if you die. But it sets your red health to 1 when you come back. Not a good item. It's okay in that you can scam with it in the deal with the devil, because you can always pick this up as long as it costs red hearts and not as long as it costs red hearts and not spirit hearts. You can just pick this up in the deal with the devil and you lose nothing unless you can lose almost all of your red health, but if you have no red health, you can just pick it up for no cost, and it'll just give you a free red heart. So it's an HP upgrade at that point, basically. And if you can exploit that, you can use it to pick up another deal with the devil item. So it has its uses. Its actual effect is garbage, but I would put Dead Cat in the C tier overall, just because of how it lets you exploit the deal with the devil mechanics of the game. Guppy's head, spacebar item, 1 room for charging, and when you use it, it gives you 2 to 4 kamikaze flies. I would put that in the C tier. Borderline D tier. I don't like this item very much, and it costs 2 red hearts from the deal with the devil. I don't like that at all, but it's better than nothing, at least. And the fact that it charges every single room is nice. Guppy's Paw, B tier. When you use it, it's a spacebar item. When you use it, it takes away 1 of your red heart containers and replaces it with 3 spirit hearts. If you have a ton of red hearts, that can win the run for you, because that allows you to take advantage of the Polaroid, and it gives you a big health boost. What's effectively a big health boost. So this is one of my favorite Guppy items. It frequently wins runs for me if I have tons of health already. I like it a lot. But its utility is dependent on how much health you have. So not always a terribly useful item. B tier for sure on Guppy's Paw. Guppy's Tail, also B tier, makes golden chests and brown chests spawn more frequently. Has synergy with the left hand trinket if you want more cursed chests to spawn. But the overall quality of this item is variable, just like Guppy's Paw. It depends on your it depends on your keys. Because if you just get a ton of golden chests, like taking Guppy's Paw early on in the game tends to not be great, because if you get a bunch of golden chest spawns for the entire game, then there's a good chance you're not going to be able to make use of them. So this item can be bad. Usually it's good. It's better if you have tons of keys though, just to make sure you can open the golden chests. And then lastly, we have Guppy's Hairball. Guppy's Hairball is exclusive to the item room. It's bad. Jesus Christ, they're being loud as shit. Guppy's Hairball is bad. It's effectively a melee weapon that you use by swinging your character around in a circle, and when this thing kills enemies, it grows in size and gains damage, but it's a bad item. The vast majority of the time, almost 100% of the time, this item is only going to be used for contributing to the Guppy transformation. If you're trying to use this thing as your primary source of damage, you're doing something wrong. It sucks. So don't mess with it like that. Excuse me. So Guppy's Hairball D tier. Oh, also it kicks bombs. So if you're going too fast, this thing can get, when you stop in front of a wall, this thing can get ahead of you and come back because of your momentum, and it can drag the bomb behind you that you put down trying to blow up the secret room or something like that. It sucks. So it's trash. Don't even bother with this thing unless it's the third item that you need to become Guppy. Dead Dove. Excuse me. So Dead Dove is the equivalent. I tell you what, we'll do these at the same time. This one, and where is Spirit of the Night? There we go. So Dead Dove and Spirit of the Night are pretty much identical, at least in terms of their raw effects. The difference is that Spirit of the Night is in the Devil Room and is much more common. Dead Dove is found in the Angel Room. It's free. Spirit of the Night costs 2 red hearts, but Dead Dove is a special item. I would say that Dead Dove is an A tier item because of its rarity and its status as a special item, and Spirit of the Night because of how common it is and it's not a special item. I'm putting this one in the S tier. Another fan favorite item, Spirit of the Night. Dead Sea Scrolls. So this item charges once every 4 rooms and gives you a random spacebar item effect when you use it. I don't even know what the list of spacebar items is that it can be, and I'm not going to bother looking it up because it's a terrible item that you shouldn't use. It's D tier. Go away. Deck of Cards. So Deck of Cards gives you a random tarot card, 6 rooms for a charge, qualifies for the C tier. I don't like spacebar items that take 6 rooms to charge, but this is better than like Mom's Bottle of Pills, so I'll take that. The card, and it's only as good as the card that it gives you. So if it gives you crappy cards, it's not worth anything. So I'm happy to put this in the C tier. I'd rather have Ace of Spades than this thing. Distant Admiration. So this is the one that gives you the red attack fly that orbits close to you and does lots of damage to enemies that touch it. This is a special item. It's also a D tier item because the fact that you have to get so close to the enemies for this item to actually do anything means that it's more of a safety hazard to you to try to use it properly than it is for you to just like not even pick it up in the first place. This is just generally a bad item. Like if you try to use this on an enemy that explodes, for example, you're gonna get hurt because you're too close. So it's crap. Doctor's Remote. Spacebar item. Takes, I want to say 3 rooms to charge and gives you an Epic Fetus rocket when you use it. So it's directional. It's like, or not directional. You can place it on a specific spot on the ground. The fact that it takes rooms to charge means that it's not very good, but it's better than most of this other stuff in D tier. So I'm happy to put this one in the C tier. Now, Dr. Fetus and Epic Fetus. Both of these items are 1 run. I don't think there's going to be any controversy over that. I don't like these items because they don't synergize that well with anything. Dr. Fetus has more synergies than Epic Fetus does. It synergizes with Bobby Bomb and Mr. Mega, so that's fine. But they're like they're two of the strongest items in the game. But and you know, having unlimited bombs is nice, of course. The problem I have with these items is just that they're so boring. There's next to no fun associated with these items at all. So these are two run-winning items that I do not like. I would rather be Guppy than have both of these items, or than have either one of these items. So Dr. Fetus, Epic Fetus, run winners. Fate, special item, somewhat rare, only shows up when popping out of a golden chest, gives you the ability to fly and an eternal heart. I would put that in the A tier. It's not a bad item, and it's actually not as rare as you would think because golden chests give you items all the time. So I'm happy to put this in the A tier. Being able to fly is obviously wonderful. There's nothing better than being on the first floor of the game and being lucky enough to get a bunch of key drops. You open up a golden chest, and the first thing that pops out of it is Fate. That is wonderful. It's like getting Transcendence in your secret room. Wonderful, wonderful thing to get. If you can already fly, obviously it gives you basically nothing, but that's fine. Being able to fly is always good to have. Fish Head, another crap trinket. When you take damage, it gives you exactly one kamikaze fly. It's horrible. It's basically like not having a trinket at all. Flat Penny. Flat Penny is another trinket. It works in the same way as Bloody Penny and the Burnt Penny, but it gives you keys instead of hearts and bombs. This is one of my favorite trinkets. It's probably the best utility trinket in the game. Money drops are common. Secret rooms have lots of money in them all the time, and keys are incredibly useful. Mixes well with Guppy's tail. It's a great trinket. If you pick up the skeleton key or something like that, it's obviously not too useful, but that's fine. That's not a huge deal. So Flat Penny, A tier trinket. Very, very nice to have. Forever Alone. This is the blue attack fly that does the same thing that Distant Admiration does. It just doesn't do as much damage and it orbits farther out. It is possible, especially on lower tiers, for you to use this as your primary source of damage against a boss. Like Monstro is a common one for me. It's not great, but it's not a special item like Distant Admiration is, so I would say it's better, and it's safer to use. So this can go in the C tier. That's fine. Forget Me Now. Forget Me Now is a spacebar item, one-time use, that redoes the entire floor that you're on. Starts you over, remaps the floor, like redoes all of the rooms, and gives you another boss fight and another chance to get a deal with the devil. It's obviously based on that description, that's incredible, but it's not that great, specifically because of the fact that when you use it, you have to give up your spacebar item. So unless your spacebar item is garbage and you don't really have much to take advantage of with it anyway, it's not necessarily a good idea for you to use this item, because you might get more value out of keeping the spacebar item than getting another floor, depending on what it is. So overall, I would say that this is a C tier with a high potential upside. Next up, Game Squid. So the Game Squid is a trinket that was added in the Eternal Edition of the game, version 1.666. So if you stopped playing the game after that point, you might not be familiar with this. It gives you a slowing effect. There we go. Slowing effect, like the little Gish tears or the Spider Bite item. It's great. It's just a passive boost. I really like slowing effects. They're really, really valuable, and it's a good trinket. it's equivalent. This trinket doesn't exist in Repentance, but it does have an equivalent in Repentance. It's called the Chewed Pen. Does the same thing that this does. It's a great trinket. It's one of my favorites, especially for especially for combative purposes. So Game Squid A tier. Goat Hoof. Goat Hoof is mostly a D tier trinket. It boosts your speed while you're holding it by 15% of Isaac's base speed. It brings you up to Isaac's base speed of 1.0 if you're playing as Maggie. It's okay to have if you're playing as Isaac, Judas, or Samson. If you're playing as Cain, the Blue Baby, or Eve, not really a good idea for you to pick this up. Going too fast, this is another reason why I don't like the Blood Bag. Going too fast can be a problem, especially if you can't fly. Because you might walk over creep and spikes or run into enemies. It makes your character harder to control. It makes your shots harder to aim. It's just not necessarily a great idea to be able to fly to be really fast all the time. So, Goat Hoof, oftentimes something that you want to avoid. So I'm happy to put that in the D tier. Growth hormones. +1 damage. That puts it in the A tier. Also plus 0.4 speed up. That's more than the vast majority of speed upgrades in the game. Again, being too fast, not always a good thing. You might step on some spikes or some creep. It just makes speed more. It makes your player's movement more awkward and hazardous to control. So it's not that good, but it's still good enough to put alongside Blood of the Martyr here in the A tier. Guardian Angel, another orbital, goes in the B tier. S tier if you can combine it with Halo of Flies or One Pretty Fly and a Cube of Meat, because it makes your orbitals spin faster. Excellent defensive combination. Not good on its own, but orbitals are not uncommon anyway. So it should be a relatively common combination for you to get. Nun's Habit. Sorry, squirrel. Let me put that away. Nun's Habit. When you take damage, you get. When you take damage, you get. You get 1 room's worth of charge on whatever your current spacebar item is. It's abusable for sure. Not the. Here, let me get rid of these. Sorry. Not the best spacebar augmenter, but in combination with the battery and the wafer, it's nice. This thing plus scapular breaks the game. You can just abuse this thing to the ends of the earth and back. It can be pretty broken by itself. I almost never find myself using this thing intentionally, or by itself or by itself it does nothing, but overall I put it in the C tier. I'm fine with that. Halo of Flies, also B tier. 2 orbitals at the same time is nice. Plus Guardian Angel, again, S tier. I don't need to keep going on about that. Halo of Flies, B tier. Holy Grail, exclusive to the Angel Room, special item, empty heart container when you pick it up, and the ability to fly. Qualifies for the A tier. Holy Water, one of the worst items in the game. Passive version of Lemon Mishap that requires you to take damage in order to use it. It's trash. Infestation. Same problem as Fish Head. You have to take damage to use it, and the only thing it gives you is kamikaze flies when you use it. It gives you 2 to 4 of them, I want to say. Or is it 1 to 3? I'm not even sure. I think it's 1 to 3. It sucks, again. Just don't even bother with it unless you, I mean, it's a passive item and it's not special, so if you can't reroll it, then fine, but if not, Like, if you can reroll it, definitely do. Ipecac. This is the only item in the game. It's not my favorite item, but it's the only item in the game that, like, consistently puts a smile on my face whenever I see it. So welcome to the S tier Ipecac. I call it the grenade launcher because that's basically what it is. Has some safety hazards associated with it. You could blow yourself up. Also, the arc that it shoots over is kind of annoying for shooting grenades over top of an enemy's head. Its range is boosted by shot speed instead of the actual range stat, so it's kind of confusing in that way as well. Mixes well with Polyphemus because the Polyphemus boosts the damage of this item and doesn't drop the fire rate, so that's nice. This is an S tier item for sure. Unlimited bombs, of course. Poison damage, bleh, whatever. Kind of boring and not particularly good. But yeah, overall, Ipecac, definitely an S tier item. Isaac's Fork, same problems as Charm of the Vampire, but it's even less consistent. When you clear a room of combat, you have a 1 in 10 chance of getting healed for half a red heart. Absolute garbage. IV Bag, A tier. Only shows up when blowing up, what's it called? When a blood bank blows up. It's involved in some of the most broken synergies in the game, like I mentioned earlier with the the Bloody Penny and the D20, which we're gonna get to, or which we've already talked about. It's a great item. Even on its own, it's fine. Gives you extra money in exchange for red hearts. So if you have it enabled by something that's been dropping red hearts, like Child's Heart or something like that, might allow you to go to the shop. Combined with Flat Penny for extra keys to enable something like that, this is one of the most versatile items in the game. So definitely A tier. Not S tier on its own, but absolutely one of the most versatile items. So I'm happy with this in the A tier. Jesus Juice, special item exclusive to the boss pool. Damage, like plus 0.5 damage, so half of one of these +1 damage multipliers, and then a little bit of a range boost. I put that in the B tier. That's fine. Judas's Tongue sets the value of all deal with the devil. Excuse me. All deal with the devil trades that are not spirit hearts to 1 red heart instead of 2. If you have health to spend, if you don't have health to spend, but you can take advantage of deal with the devil items, then this can be really good for you. If you want to get rid of more health, this is not necessarily something you want to pick up. It's doing nothing for you if you're not going to the deal with the devil. It's most of the time it's not really going to be helping you at all, but it can help to optimize your deals with the devil, which is fine. So I'm fine with this in the C tier. Kamikaze, press spacebar to blow yourself up. Garbage item overall. Has some cheese to it. You can walk into a wall, except for the top wall of a room. You can walk directly into the wall and blow this thing up and not take any damage. It's fine for like getting into tinted rocks that are close to walls and bombing your way into the secret room and the super secret rooms for free if you can position yourself properly so that you're not moving when the wall blows up. It has its uses, but mostly it's just crap. Blowing yourself up is not a good strategy in this game. Left hand. So this severed hand converts all chests as they spawn into red chests. So if you pick this up in the middle of the floor and 5 chests have already spawned, if none of them are red chests, this won't turn them into a red chest. But while you're holding this, all chests are filtered. There we go. They're filtered into red chests as they spawn. Overall, I would say that this is a D tier trinket. It does have some, because most of the time you don't want to change your golden and brown chests into red chests. It does have some utility. You get guppy items out of red chests, so it does mix well with like Guppy's tail. If that's the only guppy item that you get at the start of the run, and you don't have any keys, you can pick up the left hand and you have a higher chance of getting more guppy items in the future, because all of the chests until you put this thing down are gonna be red chests. So it does have that utility, but that's pretty rare, and you don't want to turn all of your chests into red chests anyway. So for that narrow subset, it's fine, but most of the time it's just bad for you to take. So I'll put this one in the D tier. Lemon Mishap, 2 rooms of charge for a crappy puddle of creep that does garbage damage and doesn't hit enemies that fly. You're more likely to take damage trying to use this thing properly than you are to actually deal any damage to your enemies. So it's D tier. It's bad. Goodbye. Less than 3, or just the heart. It's an HP upgrade, probably better than the average HP upgrade. A little bit more rare because it only shows up in the item room, but it completely heals you when you pick it up. So I'm fine with that. So this can be in the B tier with the rest of it. Liberty Cap, bad trinket, has a 25% chance to activate every time you walk into a room. If it activates, it either gives you one of the mushroom effects: fat odd mushroom, skinny odd mushroom, magic mushroom, and mini mush. Or if it doesn't give you one of those, it'll give you the effect of the compass for some reason. But again, it only has a 25% chance to activate whenever you bring it into a room. It's bad. And depending on what mushroom effect you get, you might not want to pick it up anyway. So I would not take this most of the time. Lil Chubby, I like this. I like this item. It does a lot of damage, but the problem I have with it, aside from it being a special item that's exclusive to the item room, which makes it rare, aside from that, it's hard to aim because it can be aimed by your movement in the same way that your tiers are. So if you walk up and down and you shoot perpendicular to the direction you're walking, it'll change the direction a little bit. It pierces, so that might throw you off target. It does pierce, so as long as the only obstacles in your way are enemies, it'll go all the way across the room until it hits something solid. But I like the damage that it does. It does a lot of damage, and it's really good against multi-segmented bosses. It's a decent item, but again, the fact that it's special, I put this in the B tier for that. Loki's Horns, D tier special item, only found in the item room. Gives you a chance to shoot in all 4 directions. The chance, I think, is 1 in 8, and Mom's Eye is right here. It mixes with Loki's Horns. That's also D tier. Shoots in the reverse direction of wherever you're shooting. If you mix these 2 items together, Loki's Horns overrides Mom's Eye, but Mom's Eye adds a chance for Loki's Horns to work to be like 9/16. So you can like fill the room with tears, and that's fine. But these are just bad items. The only time that these items are really worth anything is if you have homing tears, so that you are more likely to hit enemies that you're not actively aiming at. These items are just bad. Lord of the Pit, 2 red hearts in the devil room for flight plus 0.3 speed up. That qualifies for the A tier. I'll take that. Excuse me. It's a good item. It's fine. Being able to fly is wonderful. And the fact that you can fly means that the speed upgrade isn't as much of a hazard for you. So that's fine. Good item. A tier, Lord of the Pit. Lucky Foot, one of my favorite items. S tier. This thing has like 6 different effects, and and most of them are really good. The most obvious thing that it does is it makes your pills, it changes your pills, it filters them, there we go. It filters them so that it's, so that your pills can no longer be bad. They can't drop your stats anymore. That just on its own puts it into the A tier, but it also has it also has the effect of filtering out the results you can get from the fortune teller machine, the blue machine. Where's that one? This one right here. So like fortune teller, I'm not putting this in the list, I'm just pointing it out. Fortune teller plus lucky foot, if you have a bunch of money, is really really good, because you can farm spirit hearts and good trinkets, and you can get some good cards out of that too. It's really really good. This is one of the best items in the game, and the fact that Kane starts with this item is what makes him as a like that makes and breaks him as a character. If he didn't have that, he would suck. But because he has this, he's really really good. Those aren't the only two things it does, the Lucky Foot, but it's a fantastic item. Lucky Toe, I would put this in the C tier. I think the only thing that this does is if you don't already have the Lucky Foot, it adds like a 10% chance for you to get a a drop after you clear a room of combat. That's not nothing. It's a pure bonus if you pick it up, but its effect is nerfed to 2% if you add this on top of the Lucky Foot. So it's not great. Pickups are obviously useful, but I can't put this any higher than C tier. Maggie's Faith. At the start of every floor that you're holding this thing, it gives you an Eternal Heart. That can be good. It can be bad. It's more like it's basically the same thing as it's basically the same as every other HP upgrade. The problem is that if you can't put it down for whatever reason, you might find yourself like overstacked on health when you didn't want to be. But that's the case with just about any HP upgrade. So I used to put this in the C tier. I'm actually okay with putting this in the B tier because health is pretty nice most of the time. Magic 8 Ball. Item that's exclusive to the boss pool, and all it gives you is a crappy shot speed up and a tarot card, and you're just you're just begging and pleading for the card to actually be worth something. This is a D tier item for sure. Magic Mushroom, S tier. Plus 1 HP, fully heals you if you have any empty red heart containers. Speed up, plus 0.3 damage up. Gives you a range boost, and it gives you a damage multiplier of 1.5. Same as Blood of the Martyr when the Book of Belial is active, but this one's active all the time. So this is a great item. Huge damage boost. It says it's an all stats up, but it doesn't boost your fire rate. It doesn't boost your tier stat. Whatever. The Magnet. Magnet, I'm gonna put in the C tier. It causes all metallic pickups. So bombs, keys, and coins to be drawn, like to float towards your character. That can be fine, but it does there's another problem associated with it. That can be fine as long as you can't fly. If you can fly, this item is worthless. But there's another issue with it, which is that if you have any empty red heart containers and there are red hearts in the room, it'll draw those red hearts toward you. So this can screw you over when it comes to taking advantage of the Polaroid if you're not careful. Overall, I put it in the C tier. It's nice to be able to find or like to pick up resources that you otherwise don't have access to, but overall, it's just kind of a mediocre item. Max's Head. This is an A tier item. Plus 0.5 damage up and a 1.5x multiplier. The reason it's not an S tier is because it gives you, well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, it's rare. It's only found in the item room. And it's a special item, which makes it one of the rarest items in the game, again, alongside Cupid's Arrow and Chemical Peel. But on top of that, this also significantly increases your knockback, which makes enemies fly around the room if, like when your tears hit them, Obviously, that's not a problem if you have piercing shots or a laser, but it can be really annoying to have to deal with that knockback. Meat. Boss drop. Not that common for whatever reason. Gives you HP plus 0.3 damage up. That's, I would say, better than the average HP upgrade, although not by much, because that's kind of a crappy damage upgrade. But damage is damage, and I'll take it. That's fine. Mini Mush. Speed plus range. 2 C tier stats. So we put this in the C tier. Screw it. The Miter. So I brought this up when I was talking about the Child's Heart. These things called normal heart drops. The Miter, in a normal heart drop, again, it can be anything. Half red, full red, spirit heart, eternal heart. The Miter changes, it filters, there we go, I keep using that word, filters your normal heart drops so that now instead of a 10% chance of a normal heart drop being a spirit heart, you have a 60% chance of a normal heart drop being a spirit heart. That is an excellent effect. If you don't get that many heart drops over the course of a run, it's not going to do much for you, but it's good enough on its own to, or overall, to be in the A tier for me. This is one of my favorite items in the game because I love Spirit Heart so much. Mom's Bottle of Pills. Significantly worse than Deck of Cards. I'm going to put this one in the D tier. If you're playing as Kane or you find a Lucky Foot at some point during your run before you get this item, it can be okay. But it's also nice to be able to, if that is the case, if you have this item, sorry, squirrel, if you have this item plus the Lucky Foot, and you have the battery, which we're going to talk about soon, you can abuse the effect of the battery to get lots of pills with this, and if you have the Lucky Foot, your pills are going to be good anyway most of the time. So you can like spam this thing for for more pills. It can be good in that situation, but if you don't have the Lucky Foot or the PhD, it's just not worth using. So I'm happy to put this one in the D tier. Also, it takes 6 rooms to charge, and again, as we've established, I don't like that. Mom's Bra. Bad spacebar item, C tier. 3 rooms to charge, I think. It's either 2 or 3. I think it's 3. And when you use it, it freezes all enemies in the room for, I think, 10 seconds or something like that. Not very good. I'm happy to put it in the C tier, though. Mom's Coin Purse. Better than Mom's Bottle of Pills. You pick it up and it drops 4 pills for you. Obviously, you're not going to take it if you don't have Lucky Foot or PhD. It's if you're not playing as Kane or you haven't found a Lucky Foot or PhD, it's just not worth using. Mom's Contacts. Unique to the item room, special item, gives your tiers a freezing effect. I want to put this item in S tier, but I'm gonna put it in A because of number 1 how rare it is, and number 2 there's a hidden effect with this item that the game doesn't tell you about, which is that it drops your shot speed. Spirit of the Night does the same thing, and so does the Dead Dove. These 3 items drop your shot speed, and I really don't like that. I don't like items that drop your shot speed. Now, thankfully, it does. Because of the fact that it drops your shot speed, it enables you to pick up the crappier, like, shot speed boosting items in this game, like Cat of Nine Tails and the and Speedball and whatnot. But for the most part, it's just but for the most part, those items are just like annoying and frustrating. But this item, Mom's Contacts, which freezes enemies occasionally, is really good. The freezing effect lasts for like half a second on Blue Baby and Isaac, but for the rest of your run, it's really nice to have that. Because obviously enemies won't shoot at you. Oh, there's another hazard associated with this item. So when this item's effect activates, it turns the enemy gray. The enemy that it freezes, it turns them gray. Depending on what the ground looks like in the room that you're fighting in, they might blend into the floor, and if they're an enemy that does contact damage and you forget that they're there because like you have to shoot another enemy for whatever reason that's more of a threat or something like that, you might run into them and they still do contact damage even though they're frozen. So that's annoying sometimes. That's a safety hazard associated with this item, but it's still A tier. This is a really good item. Not as good in my opinion as what is it, Spider Bite, which is coming up later, but this is a very good item. Mom's beauty products, heels range C tier, lipstick range C tier, Mom's underwear range C tier. Okay, these are all C tier effects. Range is nice, but it's not gonna move the needle for you the vast majority of the time. Okay, one of my favorite items in the game, Mom's knife. This is a run winner. I used to hate this item because the charge was a little confusing and awkward, but I've gotten used to it, and you can also make the charge less awkward with tiers up and range up items and pills, so that's nice. It does a massive amount of damage. It's a passive item. It changes your tiers, so this is your primary mode of damage. It's one of the best items in the game, and it's broken as shit in conjunction with Polyphemus because it multiplies your damage by like 3 Polyphemus and doesn't mess with the charge time at all. So this is one of the best items in the game, 100%. Top 5 at least. Epic Fetus, I would say, is objectively better than Mom's Knife, but Mom's Knife is definitely way more fun than Epic Fetus is, that's for sure. So, Mom's Knife, run winner. Easy. Mom's Pad, definitely worse than Mom's Bra. I would honestly put this one in the D tier because of the fact that it makes enemies run away from you. They stop shooting at you as well, just like with Mom's Bra, but the fact that it gives them the fear effect that makes them run away from you is really annoying. I don't like it's the same thing with the Game Kid, which is coming up later as well. Here, let me scroll down a little bit. It's the same thing with the Game Kid. I don't like items that make enemies run away from you. That's really annoying. So this so Mom's Pad is going to go in the D tier. I'm happy with that. Mom's Pearl, plus 10% chance for a normal heart drop, which I've already explained, to be a spirit heart. Normally it's 10%, that like just with no additions at all. The chance of a normal heart drop being a spirit heart is 10%. This makes it 20%, plus the miter is 70%. If you have all 3 of those at the same time, and if you have Mom's Pearl and the miter at the same time, and you're playing as Eve, Eve has an additional 6.25% chance, I think, something like that. So you can stack this with other things to get extra spirit hearts, and then the child's heart obviously makes normal heart drops more common. But this is I would say that overall this is a C tier, just because of the infrequency, or not infrequency, but the lack of intensity in its effect. If it guaranteed spirit hearts that spirit hearts would drop, that would be amazing. That would be like run winner, but it's only plus 10%, which is not great. So it's not particularly profound. Mom's Purse gives you the ability to have 2 trinkets. If you have no trinkets, it's useless. If you don't have 2 trinkets, it's also useless. But finding 2 trinkets isn't that difficult. So Mom's Purse, I'm okay with putting that in the B tier. It's also a common item because it's found in the shop and the boss pool, which both of those pools are fairly shallow. So you'll get this on probably like a third or a quarter of your runs. So it's nice. It's nice because of that as well. Money equals power. So money equals power gives you damage based on how much money you have, up to a maximum of about 4-ish, plus 4 damage if you have maximum money. The closest thing that you could compare this to probably would be Bloody Lust, which we put in the A tier. Money equals power has a higher ceiling than Bloody Lust does, but I think Bloody Lust is a little bit more consistent. Money equals power is also, I feel like even though it shows up in more places, it maybe, I'm not even sure about that, but it feels like money equals power is a lot more rare than Bloody Lust is. Also, you can have Bloody Lust immediately just by playing as Samson, so that's fine too. Because of its lesser consistency than Bloody Lust, I'm gonna put it in B, but it has a lot of high potential. Money equals power can be useless if you have no money, if you just have one of those unlucky runs, or you spent it all, but it's not common that you're gonna have that, and it gives you more damage than Jesus Juice just by having like 13 cents, which is not difficult to get. So I'm happy to put it in the B tier, although it can potentially be as good as S tier. Monster Manual. I'm not gonna call it Manuel. I hate that. 4 rooms of charging for a random familiar. Garbage. Thankfully, if you touch it, just like with Anarchist Cookbook, you get a higher chance of getting a library, but this is a trash item. Absolute garbage. Monstro's Tooth. It's either 3 or 4 rooms of charging. I can't remember how long it takes for this item to charge, but it makes Monstro drop down on enemies in the room. Same as the same way that the High Priestess card makes Mom's Foot come down. Not very good, but better, I would say, than most. It's better than all of these items in the D tier, at least on its own. So I'm fine with putting that in the C tier. Mr. Boom, same thing, C tier. Once every 2 rooms, you get a Mr. Mega Bomb. That's okay, but it's not. But I mean, to make optimal use of it, you would have to use it. You'd have to find an excuse to use it every 2 rooms, which is not great because it doesn't add bombs to your inventory. It okay, sorry, I heard something weird. It doesn't add bombs to your inventory. It just gives you a Mr. Mega Bomb when you press the space bar. What's up after that? Mr. Mega adds your normal bomb damage is 60. Mr. Mega adds 50. And it gives you 5 bombs. I would say this is an A tier item. That extra damage can be really nice for certain spicy enemies. 5 bombs are 5 bombs. If I had to pick one over the other, I'd probably go with Boom over this one. But it's mighty close because bombs aren't difficult to get. Also, this Mr. Mega makes Dr. Fetus, because Dr. Fetus causes you to shoot bombs instead of tears. It makes Dr. Fetus do more damage than Epic Fetus, because Epic Fetus's rockets do 80 damage, and Dr. Fetus plus Mr. Mega is 110. So this plus Dr. Fetus is better in terms of damage output than Epic Fetus is, weirdly enough. Mutant Spider, also called Quad Shot. I'm happy to put this one in the A tier. Not my favorite item, and it has a lot of really bad synergies with other really good items like Brimstone and whatnot, and Mom's Knife. So this is one that you have to be a little bit more judicious about, but shooting 4 tiers at once is okay. I like that. My Little Unicorn, the Unicorn Horn. Annoyingly common item found in the item room and the secret room. 6 rooms to charge, gives you 5 seconds of invincibility when you use it, and does 40 contact damage to enemies. In conjunction with the virus, it's obviously super strong. It can be used to abuse anything that takes that takes health to use, like Demon Beggars, and it's basically anything that the Book of Shadows can do. It's not very good, especially because it takes, again, 6 rooms to charge. Hate that. So I'm going to put this one in the C tier. Can be made better with other spacebar augmenters. It's just not very good. And it's also annoying because of how common it is. My Reflection causes tears to circle back and come back towards you. Drops your range. In practical terms, drops your range. It's garbage. Having this is worse than not having it. It's a terrible item, and it's a special item. So, and for whatever reason, it's super common. Even though it's found in the item room, this is like one of the most annoyingly common special items in the game, and it sucks. So yeah, just don't bother with it most of the time. The only time you should ever bother with it, and don't ever pick up this item if you have Ipecac, because the Ipecac is affected by this item, and it makes the grenades come back and blow up in your face. You will die if you use this item with Ipecac. The only time you should ever really pick this item up is if you have really long range and you have homing tiers, because then you can make the homing tiers override the effect of My Reflection, and My Reflection also gives you technically it gives you a range increase, so it makes the homing effect better. Same thing with Lump of Coal. If you have all of those things plus Lump of Coal, it's like S tier, because the higher range means it'll stay in the air longer. But this is just a crap item the vast majority of the time. Weird synergies, it's bad. Just almost never pick it up. Notched Axe, once per room, you can destroy a single rock. That's D tier, piss off. Number 1, another situational item, gives you a big fire rate boost. Not exactly maximum fire rate, but close to it, and then significantly decreases your range. It's a situational pickup. Overall, I put it in the B tier. It's okay to have as Kane, because even though he has low range by default, his access to good pills means that he can easily get range up pills that can make this item not so bad for your range. So it might end up being like just one of the best items you can pick up, depending on what other range boosters you have or haven't had over the course of your run. Fat Odd Mushroom, I put this one in the B tier as well. It's a good item. It's basically perfect for Kane because it boosts his range, it boosts your range, gives you an empty red heart container, plus 3 damage, and then minus 0.1 to your speed. So it's a nice stat changer. Not the best damage or health upgrade in the game, but I think I would actually put this above. It feels like it's even more common than meat is. Honestly, because it drops your speed, I think I'm actually going to put it above meat. So, because it boosts your damage by the same amount that meat does, and it gives you an empty red heart container instead of a full one, so you don't have to fill it up if you don't want to. So yeah, Fat Odd Mushroom B tier for sure. Another one of my favorite items, I really like things that have a high fire rate. Skinny Odd Mushroom. This is an A tier item. One of the few damage downgrades in the game, but the fire rate boost more than compensates for that. It almost completely maxes out your fire rate just by itself. Not quite, but almost. One pill or squeezy after picking this item up will give you maximum fire rate. It also boosts your speed. So if you were going a little bit slow before, it's a nice addition to have. If you already have something that deals if you already have something that doesn't really benefit from having low damage, like Technology 2, which is another one of the few damage multipliers, damage downgrade multipliers in the game, not really advised for you to pick this item up, especially because Technology 2 already has maximum fire rate with the laser anyway. But overall, Skinny Odd Mushroom is definitely worthy of the A tier. Not a special item, but still somehow a fairly rare item. I like it. Spectral Tears, Ouija Board. A good item overall. Not necessarily great by itself. If you have good range, you can make good use of it. It's even better with piercing shots, because it lets you shoot through rocks and through other enemies. Only 1 heart from the Deal with the Devil, but for whatever reason, and this is one of the like baffling things about this, is that about this game, is that this is a special item, Ouija Board, but Spirit of the Night, which gives you Spectral Tears and the ability to fly and costs 2 hearts instead of 1, somehow is not a special item. That's really weird to me, but whatever. So Ouija Board is I would say overall and on its own, it's a C tier item, but Spectral Tears are always nice to have because they have defensive utility. You can hide behind a rock and shoot an enemy from behind the rock without them being able to hit you. That's a nice thing to be able to do. So I'm fine to put this in the C tier, but it has a lot of high like potential upside in conjunction with other things. Pageant Boy, also C tier. Common boss drop gives you 7 coins when you pick it up. It has good mixes with the trinkets that make you gain stuff when you walk over coins, like the flat penny and the burnt penny. If it spawns random nickels or dimes, you might be able to go to the shop as well. So it's not devoid of value. I know a lot of people don't like this item, but I'm fine with it. It's C tier. Not obviously nothing to write home about, but it's okay. Pentagram, +1 damage, which puts it in the A tier next to Growth Hormones and Blood of the Martyr. It's a relatively common drop because it's in the boss pool, even though it's special. But it also, if you have one of these, it adds a 25% chance for you to get a Deal with the Devil each floor after you pick it up. So, in conjunction with Book of Revelations, you get a big boost to your chance of getting a Deal with the Devil. This one boosts you by 25% if you're holding it. Book of Revelations, if you're holding this when you beat the boss. Sorry, if you have it. This is a passive item. If you're holding Book of Revelations when you beat the boss, plus 35%. For a total of plus 60. I don't know exactly how the equation on that works out, but anything that gives you more deals with the devil is going to be nice. So Pentagram deals with the devil plus extra damage, A tier for sure. PhD. PhD is an A tier item. So when you pick it up, it gives you 2 red hearts of recovery. That can be annoying if you want to not have that, like if you want Whore of Babylon or Polaroid. But overall, I would say that that's not as big of an issue. Makes it so that your pills can only be good or neutral. You can't get any stat decreases anymore after you pick this up, which is an A tier effect just on its own. But there's a little extra icing on the cake with this one, which is that if you use blood banks or IV bags after you pick up PhD, you gain more money from it. Normally you can get 1 to 3 cents from the IV bag or blood bank when you use it without the PhD. With the PhD, it boosts the range of that by 1. So you're guaranteed at least 2 pennies or at least 2 coins every time you use it, and then up to 4. Which is rare, but it can happen for sure. So extra money, a little extra recovery, which can be used for the money, and better pills. It also identifies the pills for you, so you'll know what the pills are in advance anyway. So that's an excellent item. Not as good as Lucky Foot overall, but definitely an item that's worth picking up, especially if you don't already have the Lucky Foot, because pills can make or break a run. Pinky Eye, crappy poison damage trinket. It's better than like all the trinkets that are down here in the D tier though, because it's not an item. It's not a special item like freaking common cold is. I hate that. It's a pure bonus, but it only has like a 1 in 10 chance to activate, and the poison damage again is not that good. So it's it's a pure bonus to your damage output, but it's just really weak. Excuse me. So Pinky Eye C tier. Next up, Polyphemus. Now I know that this one's gonna get me into some trouble because I do not like this item. For me, the most fun thing to have in this game is a I'm not putting in the F tier, I promise. The most fun thing for me to have in this game is a high fire rate and cool tier effects, and Polyphemus ruins that. Because it directly modifies your tier delay so that you fire super slow. I don't like that at all. It has good mixes with the best items in the game, like Brimstone, Mom's Knife, Ipecac, which I mentioned earlier, so it's nice as an augmenter for the best items in the game, but it is, on its own, not a good item at all. At least not to me. I don't like this item at all. So I will put this one into the B tier for its good synergies, and that's it. Oh, also, the best synergy for Polyphemus, in my opinion, is Technology 2, because Technology 2 literally, or at least the laser, you still fire tiers alongside Technology 2, but the laser from Tech 2 can't have its fire rate dropped, so Polyphemus is not capable of dropping that laser's fire rate, but it still boosts your damage from it, so that's an excellent combination. I don't think I've ever had that combo before, even though I've played this game for like 1,200 hours at this point, but it's something that I'll just have to find it eventually. So Polyphemus can be in B tier. Portable slots. One of the crappy spacebar items of the game, of the many, not especially good the vast majority of the time. It takes your money and turns it into pickups like coins, and it can give you more coins, or it can give you most commonly like bombs, keys, cards, stuff like that. I don't think it can give you trinkets. Maybe not. I haven't used it in a while, but this is mostly just a bad item. It does have some synergies with like there is one S tier application with this item, which is to go into a boss room, spawn a black fly with it, and then if you can teleport your way out with a card or a pill, which this item might drop, or you might have one already, you can go back into the boss room and get another boss fight and another item, and I think another chance at a deal with the devil as well. Although, well, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have the ability to pick up the items anyway, and you wouldn't get anything different, so that's not really relevant. But you can get another chance at another boss item if you can exploit this item. It's harder to do that now because that combination used to require or it used to not require the teleportation, but they patched it to where when the black fly spawns in, the door closes, so you can't walk back out. So you have to teleport out, force your way out. So overall, so that one very narrow application is nice, but that doesn't save this item from being in the D tier. Prayer Card. Prayer Card is an item that I mostly just ignore. It's unique to the Angel Room. It's 6 rooms to charge, and every time you use it, it gives you an Eternal Heart. It has an obvious synergy with Maggie's Faith, which also gives you Eternal Hearts. It can be excellent on hard mode, Eternal mode, because if you get 7 HP upgrades from Eternal Hearts in Eternal mode, in hard mode, then you get the ability to fly, which is nice. But it's just it's not very good. Like, the vast majority of the time, it's rare in the first place because it's exclusive to the Angel Room. But the vast majority of the time, even when I do see this item, I just pick it up, pop it once, if I even use it in the first place, and then I just put it back down and walk right out. So, it's not completely worthless. It's just very rare that you actually get to use this thing to its full potential. So I'm gonna put this one in the C tier. Push pin. 1 in 10 chance, 10% chance every time you shoot for the tier that you shoot to be a spectral piercing tier, has similar, just less good defensive, or like defensive offensive utility to Ouija board. If you want to, you can take the boring route, and like if you want to play it safe and stand behind a rock and wait for your 1 in 10 tiers to be a spectral tier and shoot an enemy that can't hit you, but this is just a really crappy trinket. Goodbye. Pyro, plus 99 bombs. Very rare item. Only appears in the secret room, and it's a special item, and it only has a 50-50 chance to even be in the secret room pool every game anyway. Plus 99 bombs is obviously wonderful, but I'm definitely not going to put this any higher than A tier. I would rather have, or well, not that I would rather have this than Boom, obviously, but I rate Boom overall higher than this, even though they're in the same tier, because Boom is more common. So, Pyro, A tier. Raw Liver. Only found in the secret room, plus 2 HP, completely heals you. It's a special item. It's rare. I'm going to put this one in the B tier. You might not, excuse me, you might not necessarily want 2 red heart containers anyway, and the healing also might not be something that you like very much. So, so I'm not as big of a fan of Raw Liver for the most part. Razor Blade. The Razor Blade is overall a D tier item, but it does have not run winning properties, but I would say run saving properties. So Razor Blade takes your health, prioritizing red health first, and it boosts your damage. So what you can do with this, my favorite thing to do with this is to use it on the blue baby fight. If you have the Polaroid or the Celtic Cross, if you can't use the effect of the Polaroid, what you can do once a shield triggers is you can spam the spacebar with this item as the shield is up, and you won't lose any more health, but you'll still gain the damage boost. So if you have like 4 hearts left on the blue baby fight and you get a shield to activate, this thing can save your run. Its properties are not such that you can use it continuously over the course of the entire run, but in that one very narrow situation, it could possibly save your run. But for the most part, it's just not a very good item. Red Patch has the same property, and the effect only lasts for 1 room. That's why it's not that good. Red Patch is the same thing. You gain damage when you take damage, but Red Patch only has like a 20% chance of activating, which is trash. You can combine these 2 items together for a big damage boost in that one narrow application that I explained. Overall, not very good. This one's not very good either. Both of these are in the D tier. Remote Detonator. C tier, plus 5 bombs, allows you to detonate your bombs using the spacebar instead of the timer, the normal timer. Plus 5 bombs is the only reason that this item's not in the D tier. The spacebar effect of this item is basically worth nothing. Roid Rage. One of the more common syringes in the game has the biggest speed boost of any item in the game, plus 0.6 or 60% of Isaac's base speed. Your maximum possible speed is 200% of Isaac's base speed. That's a ridiculously fast item. I don't like this item very much just because of how fast it makes you. If you're Maggie, or if you've picked up Small Rock and Lard, fine. Go for it, but I don't like items that make you too fast. So Roid Rage, I'm happy to put in the D tier. The game also says that it's a range upgrade, but it's not. The Rosary. This is an item that is at its best the later you get it. The Rosary gives you 3 spirit hearts, but it puts the Bible in the shop pool 7 times. It puts 7 copies of the Bible in the shop pool. It sucks if that happens. So if you're okay with ruining your shops for the rest of your run, that's fine. Pick it up. 3 spirit hearts is nice, but it's not. But it's not something you want to pick up early game if you have any intention of using the shop. So I think this item qualifies for at least the C tier. If I was feeling more generous, I might put it in the B tier, but whatever. Rusted Key. Rusted Key is a trinket that used to not work when the game first came, or when this trinket was first introduced to the game. It didn't work at all, but it works now. I've seen it work myself, so I'm gonna put this one in the A tier. It's the same thing as Child's Heart and Ace of Spades, but for keys and chests. When you clear a room of combat, you have an increased chance for keys or golden chests to spawn, and when you open a chest of either a brown or golden chest, it doesn't work on red chests. When you open a brown or golden chest, you have an increased chance of keys popping out. So because of that, I think generally the flat penny is more consistently good than this, but it's still a very, very good trinket. It's also nice to combine with Guppy's Tail because it makes even more golden chests spawn, so that's okay too. Rusted Key overall A tier. I like it. Sacred Heart, arguably the rarest item in the game, S tier. Not run winning, but S tier. Big damage boost, homing tiers, slight decrease to your fire rate and a slight decrease to your shot speed, which I also don't like. Completely heals your red hearts when you pick it up and gives you a free spirit heart. It's a good item. One of the best items in the game. It's just ridiculously rare. Like I said, the only item in the game that competes with this one for rarity is the dollar bill. Sacrificial Dagger. This is a D tier item for me. It's really good in Rebirth, but this is not Rebirth. It's an orbital that doesn't block shots, but it does a lot of contact damage to enemies. I don't like getting that close to enemies, and I would prefer the defense of a Pretty Fly over this thing dealing damage, so I don't like it. Safety Cap. Better than Mom's Bottle of Pills. I would say that this, because it's passive, this is better than Mom's Bottle of Pills. I'd say it's about on the same level as Deck of Cards. Cards are generally better than pills just because you know what they are in advance, but if you have the Lucky Foot, so you know, or the PhD, so you know your cards are going to be good, your pills are going to be good, it's fine. So I'm happy to put this in the C tier. Samson's Lock. This is another D tier trinket. Does the same thing that Bloody Lust does, boosts your damage as you kill enemies, and resets after you leave the room, but this is like a 1 in 15 chance to activate instead of Bloody Lust, which is a guarantee to activate. It's not good. The only application that this item has, or that this trinket has, in my opinion, is if you have a spacebar item that destroys enemy tiers in midair. So that would be spider. That would be like spider, not spider bite. Excuse me. Spider butt or mom's bra, I think, does that as well. There's a couple of spacebar items in the game that will destroy tiers in midair. Blue candle as well. The flame from blue candle will break enemy bullets. For the purposes of Bloody Lust and Samson's Lock, those broken bullets count as a kill. So if you're fighting somebody that shoots a lot, like Greed or Blue Baby or Isaac, you can enable the effect of Samson's Lock with the blue candle, but it's still not very good. The vast majority of the time, you'll never be able to make good use of this thing. Scapular. It's okay. You get down to half a heart. It gives you a free spirit heart. I think it only applies to red hearts though, although I might be wrong about that. If you have the Nun's Habit, you can use this thing to abuse the effect of your spacebar items, so that's fine. A free spirit heart is a free spirit heart. It can keep you alive. I would overall put this in the C tier. Shoop da Whoop, also C tier. Charges once every 3 rooms, I want to say, and gives you a big damage brimstone laser that you can only use once every time it charges. It's okay. I don't like it very much, though. Skatole. Fly Love causes flies to not aggro you. You can still take contact damage from bomb flies and big red flies, and if they blow up, they'll still hurt you, but this is a nice item. It's relatively common, especially if you're playing as Cain, if you have the lucky foot, because that'll make you win the shell game more. But I would be happy to put this in the B tier. Not having to worry about an entire class of enemies for the rest of the game is really nice. It's also good for the Blue Baby fight because he spawns lots of attack flies for you, and you can just ignore them. So I'll put that in B tier. I like this item. Not especially like strong or anything. It's just, whatever. It's a good item, I should say. Skeleton Key. One of my favorite items. I love Skeleton Key because of how common it is. It mixes well with Rusted Key and Guppy's Tail because it allows you to open up all of those golden chests those extra golden chests that you get. 99 keys is excellent. The only issue that I have with not with this item specifically, but with keys in general, is the fact that it's the only item in the game. It's the only item in the game that that actually gives you keys specifically. Like you have items like Bob's Curse and Bobby Bomb that give you bombs when you pick them up. This is the only thing that gives you keys when you pick it up. You can get keys from other things like portable slots or Book of Sin, but nothing gives you keys when you pick it up except for this. And you don't really need 99 keys over the course of a game. So it's a little overkill to have that many keys, but having keys is always nice regardless of what the situation is. It just feels like kind of a waste sometimes. I would rather have 10 keys plus some kind of like beneficial effect than have this, but nothing else like that exists in the game. So I put this one in the A tier. Keys are nice. Small Rock, only found from blowing up tinted rocks. +1 damage, +0.2 fire rate, and -0.2 speed. One of the more common +1 damage boosters in the game. I'll put this one up here in the A tier with the rest of them. And we're moving on. Oh, we're almost done. SMB Superfan, all stats up. Used to give you a speed down, but now it gives you a speed up. This is a B tier item. It's better than the average HP upgrade because it gives you HP, but it also gives you pretty much everything else. So I'm fine to put that in the B tier. It's just not that profound of a benefit. I'd rather have like I would rather have plus like if I'm gonna get multiple stats boosted, I would prefer to have just my tiers boosted and my damage, but that doesn't really exist in this game for the most part. So all stats ups generally go into the B tier. They're better to have than not. And while we're talking about all stats upgrades, we'll just skip down here to the Halo and put that in the B tier as well. Why not? Same thing with SMB Superfan. I think, which one would I rather have? It doesn't really matter. They're both more or less the same. This one's more common though. This is found in the Angel Room, so I'll do that. Speedball. I hate this item. Speed plus shot speed. Go away. Also a special item for some dumb reason. Spelunker Hat. Tells you that there's a secret room or a super secret room next to you. Doesn't open it up for you like the X-ray glasses do. Nice to be able to find the secret room or super secret room without having to waste your bombs looking for them. Not that great. Unfortunately, that doesn't save it from going into the D tier. Spider Butt. Once every 2 rooms, a slowing effect, similar to the Hourglass, but it also does a little bit of damage to all the enemies in the room as well. Not a fantastic spacebar item, but it's okay. I'll put it in the C tier. Spider Bite. One of my favorite items. I honestly think that overall this is better than Mom's Contacts because it doesn't drop your shot speed or turn your enemies into a safety hazard, even though the slowing is not as good as the freezing. I like Spider Bite a lot. Spoonbender. Homing Tears, only found in the item room. Special item, very rare. Well, very rare. The homing effect in this game is just not very good. It's fine in Rebirth, but in this game it's just kind of crap. It's not that good. I'd rather have a lot of other items in the game than this, but it's at least it's a passive item, so I'll put this in the C tier. That's fine. Squeezy, another good boss item. Plus 0.4 to your tiers up, which is like a quarter of what number 1 gives you, but this also gives you 2 Spirit Hearts. 2 Spirit Hearts is excellent. I love that. Tiers up plus Spirit Hearts is one of the best things that an item can give you in this game. Steam Sale. C tier item cuts all of the prices of the goods in the shop in half. It's better the earlier in the game you get it, but even if you do get it early in the game, if you get like really crap luck when it comes to getting money and or keys, you can't really take advantage of it. I'm happy to put it in the C tier. I'd rather have this than most of the items in this than just about all the items in D tier. Stem Cells, worse than the average HP upgrade because it gives you a shot speed up, but I'll put this in the B tier anyway, just because it's another HP upgrade. Can also counter the effects of items that or compensate for the effects of items that drop your shot speed, so that's fine. Steven, +1 damage, pops out of golden chests and drops from the Steven boss fight with a frequency of 1 out of 6. The other 5 out of 6 times you're gonna get little Steve instead. This is an A tier item along with the rest of these. Probably a little bit better than growth hormones because it doesn't boost your speed quite as much. So I'm happy with that. Stigmata. Worse version of meat because meat is not a special item and this is. These 2 items, meat and Stigmata, are identical in terms of the effects that they have on you, but Stigmata is a special item and meat is not. So Stigmata is 1 step down. Still nice to get damage up. Super Bandage, the best HP upgrade in the game. 1 HP up plus 2 Spirit Hearts. Welcome to the A tier. Tammy's Head. I don't like this item. It's very hit or miss, obviously. One room to charge is nice. It can do absolutely nothing. It can be incredible, so I'm going to put it in the C tier. Technology 2. Not as good as Technology 1. Has some good synergies. Works well with Guppy because it counts as a high fire rate and spawns tons of flies for you. Infinite range, piercing shots. I'm happy to put this in the B tier. Also, again, combines well with Polyphemus. This plus Polyphemus is like S tier, if not run winning. Very, very good. I would rather have Tech 1 though. Technology 1, infinite, infinite laser, or infinite range laser, piercing shots, scales with tears upgrades and the cancer trinket. Very nice. Also works well with spectral tears. The only issue that I have with this is that, I mean, homing shots aren't that good anyway, like I said. This was only 10 seconds ago, you might have forgotten. But this thing doesn't work with homing tears. But either way. Telepathy for dummies. Once every 2 rooms, homing tears, piss off. Teleporter. Mostly a useless item. If you're okay with, like, getting an I am error room before you've even, like, fought the boss or something like that, then it's fine. It's fine as Kane, because I am error rooms very frequently have lots of lots of pills in them, so that's okay. But most of the time, you don't want to skip an entire floor. The best time for you to actually get the I am error room is when you're at the end of the floor and you've already done everything. So, not a particularly enchanting item. If you want to get out of the mom fight to see if you've got to deal with the devil, that's fine too. Most of the time, I think this is just a D tier item. I don't use it much at all. It's just another filler item. Here, let me turn my lights on really quick. Hang on. Detour. Isn't that much better? Next up, the battery. Oh, the battery. So this is another spacebar augmenter alongside the Nun's Habit and the 9-volt. I would put this squarely in the A tier. This has the potential to be one of the most abusable and broken items in the game. If you have an item that gives you infinite bombs or you have pyro, this thing can this thing can give you like unlimited rolls on your spacebar item. The only issue that I have with that, and this is the reason that I'm not putting it in S tier, is because using this item in that application is so fucking boring. Oh my god, I hate it. If you have the patience for it, then it's fine, obviously, but it's not a very fun way to play the game. So it's fine in A tier, charging your giving you half a charge on your spacebar item if you can stay alive in that in each room long enough is great, but it's not going any higher than A tier because that the abuse of this item is really, really boring. The bean. Once a room, you press the spacebar to fart and do poison damage. Goodbye. The belt. Speed up. Speed is a C tier stat, so welcome to the C tier. Same thing with wooden spoon down here. Welcome to the C tier. The Bible. Once every 6 rooms you can fly. If you use it on Mom or Mom's heart, or it lives, it kills them instantly. If you use it on Satan, Isaac, or the blue baby, it kills you instantly. Welcome to the D tier. Black bean, special item for some dumb reason. Every time you take damage, you fart. It sucks. Don't bother with it. Book of Belial. Once every 3 rooms, you get a big damage boost. Welcome to the B tier. Also, libraries. Very nice. Book of Sin. Once every 4 rooms, you get a pickup of some kind. Welcome to the B tier. Also, libraries. Blue Candle. Oh, Blue Candle. My favorite item. My absolute favorite item in the entire game. Not the best item in the game, not even close, but absolutely an excellent item. This is the only item that... Here, tell you what. We're going to talk about them both at the same time. D6, obviously also an S tier item. The Blue Candle is the only item in the game that I would consider, that I frequently consider swapping out the D6 for. It is an excellent item. It does have some bad mixes, though. It doesn't mix well with some of the best items in the game. Brimstone, Mom's Knife, and Technology 2 are just a couple of them. They don't fire consistently when you try to use the Blue Candle, but it does a ton of damage. It has defensive value by blowing up, or not blowing up, but by destroying enemy bullets. It's a wonderful item, and it is so much fun. Easily the most fun item in the game, and again, easily my favorite item in the entire game. Unfortunately, I can't put it in run winner. The D6, once every 3 rooms, you get to reroll an item. Obviously, that's an excellent effect. Broken as fuck with the battery and the 9-volt and the Nun's Habit and all that. Definitely one of the best items in the game. Doesn't do anything for you on its own, but it allows you to get more. It allows you to get more of the game's good items. So definitely worthy of the S tier. Not run winner by any chance, but or by any stretch, but definitely an item worthy of the S tier spot. Common Cold, special passive item that gives you poison damage, found in the item room, and for 1 heart from the devil. This item sucks. The Compass, B tier mapping item, shows you the coordinates of all of the symbol rooms on the map. It's okay. It's one of the most common items in the game. Nice to have in combination with the treasure map, which is better than the Compass, but is also there we go. But is also B tier. Both of them together is like A or S tier. That's nice. They're good items. They're very basic items, and there's next to nothing wrong with them. Obviously, if you get Curse of Darkness, it's not great, but but that's you can't really do much about that aside from using the World card or the Crystal Ball. Game Kid, a strictly worse version of My Little Unicorn. It does the same thing with the added annoyances that it makes enemies run away from you, and it heals you when you might not necessarily want it to do that. So I'm okay to put this one in the D tier. I hate this item. Hourglass. I don't even remember honestly what this item does. I think it slows enemies down for a few seconds. Like, what's that other item? What's the other item that does that? Spider Butt? I think it does that. Where did I put Spider Butt? Where's Spider Butt at? B tier? Did I put it in the B tier? Oh, there it is. Okay. Jesus Christ. I can't believe I lost that. Yeah. It's just like a worse version of Spider Butt because it takes 3 rooms. I think it takes 3 rooms to charge instead of 2, and doesn't damage enemies in the room. So obsolete. Welcome to the D tier. Inner Eye triple shot special item only found in the item room. Strictly worse than Mutant Spider. This one is C tier. The Ladder, fine if you can't fly, useless if you can. Doesn't allow you to access every restricted spot in a room. I'm okay to put this one in the C tier as well. There's no negative associated with it. It's not bad to have in any case. It's just it can only either be good or useless. So I find that, so I'm fine with putting that in the C tier. The Mark, another +1 damage booster, so this is going up in the A tier. Relatively common because it's a deal with a devil item. +1 damage, +1 spirit heart when you pick it up. And it gives you a speed boost of 0.2, which is not too bad. not too much speed. Good item. Not as good as the Pact, which we're going to skip to here. The Pact, plus 0.5 damage, which is the same as Jesus Juice, but it gives you 2 Spirit Hearts. 2 Spirit Hearts when you pick it up, and it gives you plus 0.7 to your tier stat, which is a very good tiers upgrade. This is an S tier item, the Pact. Better than the Mark, especially because it gives you 2 Spirit Hearts instead of 1, so it costs 2 hearts normally, and it replaces the health that you lose to get it. I really like that item. Very, very good. The Mulligan. This is an item that disappoints me, honestly. So the Mulligan gives you it applies along the same lines as the fly spawning effect from Guppy, but it only applies with a chance of 1 out of 6 instead of it being guaranteed. So your tier impacts an enemy, you have a 1 in 6 chance of spawning a blue attack fly. This is not a particularly good item, and it's completely useless if you already have Guppy because their effects don't stack. So it's good if you already, it's good with like Tech 2 because you already have a high fire rate with that item anyway, but it's a special item, it's only found in the item room, it's rare, I don't like it very much. Out of generosity, I'm going to put it in the C tier and not the D tier. The Nail, pretty good. B tier alongside Book of Revelations and all of these. Another fan favorite item, I'm pretty sure. Once every 6 rooms, a Spirit Heart, when you use it, you have the ability to break rocks by walking over them for that room. Gives you a small damage boost of like 0.7. Drops your speed slightly. And gives you 40 contact damage like the virus does. It's okay. Excuse me. The main reason that I don't use this item very often is because it's a deal with a devil item, and you usually have to pay 2 red hearts to get it, which is not worth it the vast majority of the time. If it showed up in other places, I would use it a lot more. But it doesn't, so I'm just not worried about it most of the time. But it's okay in the B tier for me. Necronomicon. Once every 6 rooms, you can pop the spacebar to completely clear a room of enemies. It doesn't actually do that. It deals like 40 damage, which will clear most rooms full of enemies. And most bosses that have multiple body segments, like Larry Jr. I don't like this item. Again, 6 rooms of charging. I struggle with whether or not I should put this in the B tier or the C tier. Because it makes... excuse me, because it makes a room of combat basically irrelevant. I'm gonna put it in the C tier, not D. The Parasite, somewhat rare item, shows up in the item room and as a deal with the devil. Split shot, when your tier impacts something without exhausting all of its range, it creates 2 tiers that fly out perpendicular, and they can hit other things. I don't like this item very much. It would be nice in combination with homing tiers, but the homing effect seems to not apply very well to this item, so for the most part, I think it's just bad. If you have good range, and you have spectral tiers and homing tiers, you can hit other things with this, like you can with Loki's horns. But it's not a particularly good item. I'm okay to put this in the C tier though. Tier effects are usually okay. You just have to have more than one of them to make them work. Peeper's Eye, or I think this is just called the Peeper, makes one of your eyes pop out of your head and it floats around the room doing contact damage to enemies. It's fine as a source of passive damage. It's just like Crack the Sky where it does nothing the vast majority of the time. And this little fucker kicks bombs too. I hate this thing. So I'm happy to put that in the D tier. The shears. Once every 6 rooms you can fly, like with the Bible, but you also spawn a familiar on the ground that runs around the room really fast and does a ton of contact damage to enemies. It's really nice when you do get the chance to use it, and the ability to fly is nice as well. But again, 6 rooms of charging, I hate that. This would be so much better if it charged faster. Even 3 rooms of charge would be really nice for this item, but 6 rooms of charge, welcome to the C tier. The Polaroid, not run winner, not S tier, but A tier. It's a little annoying to try to activate this trinkets effect, but if you can enable it and you have lots of spirit hearts, it's one of the best thing. It's one of the best things in the game, and it has the single best defensive effect in the entire game. If you take damage while you have the Polaroid, and you have 1/2 of a red heart left or less, you get a shield that protects you from all damage for 5 seconds. But it doesn't take spirit hearts into account. It only focuses on your red health. So if you have 1/2 of a red heart or no red hearts, and you have a ton of spirit hearts, you have like the best longevity that anything in this game could possibly give you. So it's an excellent trinket if you can enable it. And while we're talking about it, the same criteria for activation applies to the Whore of Babylon. Whore of Babylon, not a special item. When it activates, it gives you plus 1.5 damage and plus 0.3 speed. That's nice. If you can get it working, it's good. If not, it's useless. I would say that it's either B or C. Excuse me. I struggle with where to put this one, but I'm trying to compare. Like, you know, would you rather have Bob's Curse or Whore of Babylon? Would you rather have, you know, all these familiars or Whore of Babylon? I'm gonna put this one in the C tier. I'd rather have a ton of familiars than this thing, but it is very nice if you can enable it. The poop. Once per room, you can drop a pile of dung on the floor. You shoot it, it might give you money, it might give you a heart, it might give you a spirit heart. It's crap, literally crap, and figuratively crap as well. It's a bad item. Sad Onion. We'll talk about the wire coat hanger and the sad onion at the same time as well. Both of these items give you plus 0.7 to your tiers stat, which is the same thing that the pact up here gives you. The pact is S tier because it gives you damage and spirit hearts at the same time. Wire coat hanger is A tier because it's more common and it's a boss drop. Sad onion is B tier because it's less common and it's a special item. So even though wire coat in terms of the effect that they have on your ability on like moving the needle to win the run, sad onion and wire coat hanger are the same, but the fact that it's a special item and less common means sad onion gets dropped to a lower tier. The virus gives you 30 contact damage and poison damage and applies poison damage to enemies that you touch. The poison damage is crap, as with every other thing in this game that gives you poison damage. The contact damage is excellent, mixes well with a shield or My Little Unicorn or the Game Kid. And it also drops your speed by 0.1, 10% of Isaac's base speed. I say this qualifies for the B tier overall. Involved in some of the more broken combinations in the game. If you don't want to touch enemies, it's not going to do anything for you. Nice to punish enemies that deal contact damage, so that's fine. I say this item qualifies for the B tier. Now, the wafer. This is an S tier item. My only gripe with the wafer is the fact that it excuse me, is the fact that it drops your shot speed. I hate that. And it doesn't, and the game doesn't tell you that it does that. You have to find that out for yourself. It does, like, there is no item in the game that drops your shot speed where the game actually tells you that your shot speed has decreased. Sacred Heart, Spirit of the Night, the Wafer, Dead Dove, and Mom's Contacts. All of them drop your shot speed, and it's really annoying. That does enable you to pick up some of the crappy shot speed upgrades in the game and not be bummed about it. It's just really annoying. But the Wafer sets all damage that you take for the rest of the run to half of a heart instead of a full heart. If it's already half a heart, you're still taking half a heart of damage. If it does a full heart of damage, if it's a grenade or if it's a globin that you touch, it's normally a full heart. It's now half a heart if you have the Wafer. Excellent item. Not enough to win the run by itself, but still a very good item. The Tick. One of the worst trinkets in the game, on par with the Cursed Skull for how bad it is. You can't put the Tick back down unless you pick it up. The only way you can pick up another trinket with this is if you have Mom's Purse. And if you're going all the way with this game, then you have to go with the Polaroid. So that sucks. The Tick will, upon entering a boss fight, will automatically deduct 15% of the boss's health, which is fine, but it also heals you for a full red heart of health. Not good if you're trying to enable the Polaroid. So the vast majority of the time, you're not going to want to use this thing at all. It sucks. So F tier. Also in the F tier is toothpicks. Exclusive to the item room, special item for some dumb reason. Only boosts your shot speed, and that's it. I don't think I need to explain anything further about this item. Tough Love, Tooth Shot. When you fire a tear, this item gives you a chance to fire a tooth instead of a tear. If you get a if you get a tooth, the tooth does 3 times whatever your normal tear damage is. The chance that this item will cause you to fire a tooth is based on your luck stat. By default, your luck stat is 0. The chance that this will fire, or that this will cause you to shoot a tooth instead of a tear, is 10 divided by whatever your luck stat is plus 1. So normally your luck stat is 0. 0 plus 1 is 0 plus 1. So you have a 10% chance under normal circumstances for this to shoot a tooth instead of a tear. It's good with Cane, obviously, or if you can spam luck up pills, because that's the only way to boost your luck stat in the game. But it's a rare item. It's a special item in the item pool, only in the item pool. It's not a common item on its own. And when you do pick this item up, the chance that you're going to be able to use the effect of use the effect of this item reliably is not good. If you can get maximum applicable luck, so a luck stat of +9, it's like S tier, tripling your DPS, which is the same thing that Guppy does, but it's just so inconsistent that I can't put it any higher than C tier. Transcendence. Every time you start the game, this has a 2/3 chance to be in the special item pool. It just allows you to fly for the rest of the run. It's really good. I say that qualifies for the A tier. Definitely better than... Here, let's move this up. Definitely better than White Pony for sure. It's also not a special item, so that's great too. Umbilical Cord. Trash trinket will almost never do anything for you. Spawns the Little Steve familiar or the Brother Bobby familiar if you already have Little Steve, only when you get down to half of a heart. But it doesn't work the same way that the Polaroid or the Whore of Babylon does. It takes all of your health into account. So this trinket will only ever do anything when you're about to when you're about to lose the run anyway. So it does about as close to nothing as you can possibly get. And that familiar only lasts for the room that you're in. It's horrible. Garbage trinket. Also a garbage item is the shovel. We need to go deeper. Skips the floor that you're currently on. Good for speed running. I don't use it. Welcome to the D tier. Wiggle worm. Plus 0.4 tiers up, which is the same thing that Squeezy gives you, but it doesn't give you... But this is a special item and doesn't give you the spirit hearts. So enjoy your C tier. It also gives you the wave movement pattern for your tiers. I don't care about that. It doesn't matter at all to me. It's funny looking, but funny is not it does not make an item good. Yum Heart. Bad spacebar item for the most part. Once every 2 rooms you get to you can pop it and give yourself a full red heart of recovery. I don't like it, but it's not completely useless. I guess I'll put it in the C tier because I'm feeling generous. Last but not least, we have X-ray vision. Allows you to walk into and out of secret rooms and super secret rooms for free. This is a utility item, so it's better the earlier you get it. Overall, I would say that this is an A tier item. I like this item quite a bit. Being able to walk into and out of secret rooms and super secret rooms for free is sick. It works very well with the D6 because the D6, or if you're trying to re-roll an item in the secret room, then you don't have to excuse me, you don't have to use a bomb to get in and out of the room every time. So that's all. It's a nice way to boost your economy throughout the game. Very, very pleasant item. Unless you get it at the very end of the game, I'm always happy to get it. So that was the last item. That's all of it. Woo! And how long did that take me? Let me go into my OBS here. Oh my god, 3 hours to talk about these items. Good lord. Well, if you managed to make it this far, I appreciate it. I'll probably do something like this again in the future. And I hope you enjoyed. And thank you for watching. I will see you next time.